going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for the last international match of rugby that we've got in a while. Till the Six Nations, we have to wait patiently, but until then, we got Ireland versus Australia. Now, up until last game, Australia are on quite the winning streak. Ireland not having their greatest start to their November international. So these two sides matching up should be very entertaining, and we will be covering it on the channel. But jumping straight into the lineups, first of all, for the home side Ireland, they have got Andrew Porter, Ronan Kelleher back into the starting side rather than Gus McCarthy to get his international debut in the last contest, and Finlay Bealham slotting in as the number 3. Joe McCarthy and James Ryan in the locking duo, pretty much the stock standard of what we have seen for the Irish. And then in the loose forward trio, very strong here, Tyke Byrne at number 6, Josh Van den Flaren number 7, and then Caelan Doris slotting in as the number 8. James Gibson Park alongside Sam Prendergast will be the 19 combo, and Prendergast definitely needs to shore up that discipline. We saw at times up against the Fijians, a little bit shaky, but overall a very good attacking option for the men in green here. Bundy Aki and Robbie Henshaw in the midfield combo, which does mean we get to see Gary Ringrose make his way off the bench, and then James Lowe, Mac Hansen, and Hugo Keenan as the back 3. Then for the Australians, they've gone with a few changes here in their starting lineup. James Slipper at number 1, Brandon Painga Amosa at 2, and Taniela Tupou, or also known as Tongan Thor, slotting in as the number 3. Nick Frost and Jeremy Williams in the locking duo with Rob Valentini, Fraser McRae, and Harry Wilson as the number 8. Jake Gordon and Noel Alessio once again will be that 19 combo. Some people still aren't completely sold on Noel Alessio's game, but the Aussies have tried it time and time again, and I believe that's what they'll do throughout the rest of 2025. Lena Cattell and Joseph Suali'i will still be at number 13, so that tells us that he did pass his HIA last week, but did in fact have that sore wrist. Max Jorgensen gets the start at 11, a jersey that has rotated throughout the Wallabies November. Andrew Callaway at number 14, and Tom Wright number 15. Looking through at the chat, we have got Jimbo, we've got Robert, we've got Arthur, we've got Neville, we've got Novman, we've got Zenda, we've got Bruce. Mr. Marmite is here in the chat as well. Are you in your bedroom? I am not. I'm on holiday at the moment, but we are up at 4 a.m. ready to cover this international fixture between these two sides. I see you're in a different place. Will you also be keeping an eye on Stormers versus Sharks game in the URC? I will be. It's such a shame that these two games are taking place at the exact same time. The Sevens is also on. New Zealand versus Fiji will be starting in about 15 minutes' time, but sadly there is just one of us. So we went with the international fixture just because of it's an international fixture at the end of the day. Plus, it's a good one because Australia, they came into this game up until last week up against Scotland with some heavy momentum, and now, of course, want to finish off on a high. And I'd have to say, if they were able to get the win here, the Aussies, it would be a pretty successful November Internationals tour. Morning, Hamish. Hope your weekend's been good. Up to Black Caps. Says Blues Nate there. Which Wallabies team will show up? This is like the Bledisloe, Aki Lowe, and Gibson Park versus Australia. Says Mo, well, hopefully we get to see a really strong performance from Australia. They haven't tasted defeat up until last week up against the Scottish throughout November, but of course they have tasted it quite a bit throughout the Rugby Championship. So I would like to think that there's at least going to be a little bit of extra oomph in this Australian side, and they're not just going to roll over and allow Ireland to play their natural game. Hopefully they can defend, because that has been something the Aussies have struggled with. I support the Wallabies today, says Jan. And hello, Blues Nate, says Mr. Marmite. I watch the game on Peacock app here in the US. But listen here for the commentary because we have obnoxious English announcers for the broadcasters here. Says MB, well, I do very much appreciate you being here for this live stream, of course. A great cameo of Schmidt and Farrell having a laugh during the run out, says Jimbo. And where you're holidaying. So I am in Christchurch at the moment. So Black Caps versus England for the cricket has been happening. Although I didn't go today as my team were going to be short for cricket. So I had to drive back to where we normally play and then come back on holiday. So I'm on holiday, but I'm not really, because I'm still streaming and I still went home to play cricket. So, you know, it's happening. We're kind of slightly supposed to be on holiday. Damn Virgin Media isn't working. Irish resident Says Aaron O'Sullivan, well, I hope that they sort it out before kickoff. Definitely because at the end of the day, this is a big game for Ireland. Their last international of November, they have beaten the Fijians. In fact, we might as well show you exactly what Ireland have done so far. They beat Fiji, they beat Argentina by the narrow margin, and then they were defeated by New Zealand by the 10. But at the end of the day, that game was a very interesting one. You could certainly see the rust for Ireland, but in that game up against Argentina, they got that little bit better, still finding their feet, and then up against the Fijians, that is when we saw them really come out firing early on. And I have a feeling that'll be the tactic up against Australia. Try and make them uncomfortable early, get those big points on the board. We've seen the Australians, they have scored a lot of points throughout November, except up against a Scottish side that are known for their strong defence. And I feel like Ireland have that same acknowledgement to them in all their games so far. The most they have conceded is 23, whereas for Australia, they have conceded 20 plus in all of their games, including that first game up against the English, where they conceded 37. But the big thing is they still won that game. So that is exactly what the Irish will want. But looking through at the chat once again, hello, Mr. Marmite, hello, Jimbo. Why not Aaron? It's free to wear. I have it up. Says Jimbo there. And I really hope Australia win, but good luck to both teams. Play hard, says GC is the way. And we have got the Ireland needs a good game and agree, says MB. And there as well. But do let me know your score predictions for this game, ladies and gentlemen. We are only sitting around maybe 9 minutes away from the kickoff. And what can I do? I love rugby, dislike the owners, says MB. So I assume that's in terms of the the USA coverage. Unfortunately, for certain places, the coverage is very limited in terms of what you can find. So you may just have to have them on mute or just refresh the page, and hopefully it does end up, firing up. Wonder what Hamish does on holiday. Says Miss Marmite. Yeah, well, it's pretty much the same as what I do when I'm not on holidays, because we're going to be streaming tomorrow night as well. But we try and enjoy a bit of a holiday every once in a while. Afternoon, morning, Hamish and all. Says pleasure, welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing extremely well. And I have a feeling Australia may take it today. Says Hillary. And we have got there, I don't know, Jimbo, the live stream isn't loading, says Aaron. So yeah, I would definitely try refreshing it and seeing if that does help it out a little bit. It's not a holiday then, says Mr. Marmite. NBC is very left. It's a political point, says MB. Stupid, says Mr. Marmite. I mean, it's still a holiday if you're not at home, isn't it? So that works. Have you seen that Wanaka tree? I have. I went near it last New Year's, where we did not stream on holiday, so it must have counted in Mr. Marmite's eyes. Australia 24-16 for the Irish, says Neville there, and big test for Sam Prendergast today. Yeah, I think Australia should be able to pressure him a little bit more than we saw from the Fijians, which I think will actually do him a lot of good. And I got Ireland with the upper hand, says Adrian. And also we have got their Wallabies will win. And we have got their low. No, it's just been somewhere else. Well, okay, I'm somewhere else then, Mr. Marmite, if it helps you sleep at night. And good morning, greetings from Houston, USA. It's 9:03 a.m. Time for the rugby. Says Wayne, yeah, last international game. A lot of people actually forgot that this game was actually taking place. And that is because not only do we have the return of the URC, but also alongside that, we have got the sevens that has taken place in Dubai. Let's go Kangamen, says Doctor there, a Marmite or Mormon from Montreal, says Mike. And Australia 30, Ireland 30, Australia 24 from Aaron. Got a picture of it like you have to take a photo. Also got photos of the Remarkables. And also we have the Aussies got a bit better in now. Yeah, they've actually had a really good November international period, and I don't think many people anticipated them coming into this last game only losing one. I think a lot of people picked them to lose up against the English, which didn't take place, and also not many people saw them beating Scotland, and at the end of the day they didn't, because Scotland, they're a very tough side. Great on defence. I was also somewhere else once, says Bruce. I missed the start. Where are you holidaying? So it's like 3 hours up the road from where I normally live, but I've been going to England versus New Zealand for the cricket, except for today, or the most recent day, I had to not use my ticket because I was playing cricket for my team because they were short. So I went back to play cricket and then drove back up, and now I'm here. Southern Hemisphere support for the Aussies here, real tight game, I think, and Australia odds at 5-5. I will place $10 on this, says Martin, and today I will be eating toad in the hole with mashed potatoes and onion and gravy. What is toad in the hole? And yeah, congrats to Healy. What a tank, says Aaron. Yeah, a lot of caps under his belt, that is for sure. And hopefully he's able to back it up with a big performance in this one. Do you know any rugby players that come out of Waimate? Unfortunately, the only one that we've really had is now passed away, one of the young guys, unfortunately. So other than him, not really, not a huge amount. Like provincial level, I think we might have like one or maybe two, but yeah, not a huge amount. But looking through at this Irish starting lineup, once again, ladies and gentlemen, we are extremely close to the start of this game. Andrew Porter, Ronan Kelleher, and Finlay Bilham will be slotting in at number 3, Joe McCarthy and James Ryan in the locking duo. So pretty strong for the Irish in that department. Joe McCarthy was one of the standout players throughout last year in the Rugby World Cup. And then, of course, James Ryan with that experience. Tyke Byrne at number 6, Josh Van Flower at 7, and Caelan Doris to close out the side as the number 8. He was nominated for Rugby Player of the Year. Didn't get it in the end, but certainly would have been in with a crack. Jameson Gibson Park as the number 9 with Sam Prendergast slotting in at 10. And then alongside that, Bundyaki in the midfield, Robbie Henshaw on the outside, and then James Lowe, Matt Hansen, and Hugo Keenan slot in as the back 3 for the Australians. The away side, James Slipper, Brandon Payanga Amosa, and Taniela Tupou will be there as the number 3, Nick Frost and Jeremy Williams in the locking duo. Now, there were a few late changes in terms of injuries and whatnot for Australia. A lot of decisions that had to be made throughout the week for Joe Schmidt, but in the end, locking in Frost as well as Williams. In the loose board trio, it will be Rob Valentini at number 6, Fraser McWright number 7, and Harry Wilson as the number 8. These 3 need to be physical. They're up against Byrne, Van den Flower, and Doris, so they have to put everything into it that they can. And if they're able to do so, maybe the Australians have a chance. And those breakdowns, Jake Gordon and Noel Alicio in that 19 combination, Len Ikitau and Joseph Suali'i will be the 12 and 13. And then Max Jorgensen goes in on the left for Harry Potter, who has disappeared. Andrew Callaway out on the right wing. And then number 15, it is Tom Wright. But those are the starting sides, ladies and gents. We are only a minute or two away from the kickoff. We're about to have the national anthems, and then we are ready to go. We have got there, Tom terrorised everybody, make the girls cry, says Mr. Marmite. I am so confused. I must have missed something there. Doris needs to beat New Zealand to have any hope of the player of the year, says Jimbo. And we have got there, sausage and Yorkshire pudding, says Dave, is what a toad in a hole is. We have got there, it's 9:03 a.m. in Houston. I'm about to jump on an E-train in Jamaica, Queens. It's 10:05 here. I thought Texas was 2 hours behind, says Mo. And there you go. I'm terrible with my time zones. All I know is at the moment it is 4:10 a.m. almost, New Zealand time. And hopefully this is going to be a good game. We've got up at 4 a.m. ready to go. Rearing to go as well, I should say. We just got the national anthems taking place, and then we are just about into the action. And we have got there where Rugby used to show Championship Rugby. Some genius decided to turn it into Fixed Soccer Channel. I keep Flow Rugby all year round, says Mo. And that's the thing, like, Flow Rugby certainly does split opinions in terms of whether it's any good or not. But, like, I guess at least they're still showing some of the rugby, you know, because at the end of the day, there are a lot of countries that do struggle to be able to find it. I should mention, if you're in New Zealand, it's actually on the TAB. You're able to watch this game for free, as long as you, of course, have the account. Can't believe the live stream isn't working. So many story threads to this game, says Aaron O'Sullivan. Yeah, the fact that Ireland, both of these sides, in fact, have lost one of their games throughout November. They've played 3 in total, beating 2 sides. The reason Rassi didn't get Coach of the Year is because he's the greatest coach of all time. God tier coaches don't need Coach of the Year awards, says Viking Skull. And good on you, mate, up early. This will be a cracker, feisty, says Cody. Yeah, I'm hoping that we see straight away that both of these sides are ready for this challenge. Not going to have a beer whenever you drink water. Pacing myself today, says Robert. It's probably a good call, I would say, just because we probably will drink a bit of water. It's been quite warm where we are. Don't forget to smash that like out of the ballpark, and to get an email from Sky offering you 12 months to 365. I did, and then I accepted the offer, and then they said you get it next year, but you're paying the full price this year. So that was nice. So yeah, that didn't actually work. But next year I'll get cheaper Sky, just not now. Instead, I have to pay more than I normally would. So that's nice. A nice Christmas bill. But Andre Piardi will be the referee in charge of this game. If anyone is wondering why I'm blinking so much, it's because I don't really have a lot of lighting here. So I've got my flashlight from my phone. As you can see there, that's why it's quite bright. But we're getting through it. I got the screen down here as well, my iPad watching this game. We're a little bit more of a different setup than we would normally be, but hopefully it's still going to be relatively decent. But the Irish will be kicking off from left to right, and we are underway at the Aviva for the final game of the November internationals, and it's well cleaned up by Nick Frost, who's taken down in the air by Joe McCarthy, but he places him down like you would a baby into a cot. Now going off to the left-hand side. I've just realised it's not called a cot everywhere in the world. Is it called a cradle? I'm not even sure what it's regarded as in certain countries. But now it's going to be Jake Gordon's ball, 20 metres out from the line. On Harry Wilson, hitting it up one more time. Oh, I thought Fraser McWright was going to stay down with an injury, but he has got back up. I'm on the black bush. We're going to walk. Walk this, says Kieran there. Now nicely taken by Sam Prendergast at the back for the Irish. Got the big white collars. They're almost taken after New Zealand with this strip. Now Jameson gives him back, goes back across to the left-hand side. Robbie Henshaw tries to cut in, but Joseph Suali'i is there to make the tackle. And up the Wallabies, says Chef. Enjoying the cricket, says Eric J. Can you cast the game to the YouTube stream? Sadly not, because that would be illegal. And I would get myself in quite a bit of trouble if I was to do that. Tyburn now crashing it up for Ireland again. 1 minute 30 into this match already. Both sides have had half a shot of an attack. Bundyaki now trying to break through Andrew Callaway's tackle attempt. Gibson Park waiting for this ball to come out the back. He was sensational in the game up against New Zealand. His first match back after his long injury layoff, and he just looked like he hadn't gone anywhere. Now, Joe McCarthy hits it up again. Just a slow build-up at the moment for the Irish. No rush. Sam Prendergast kicks the ball away. Is that a knock-on from the Aussies? Yes, it is. And it will now be the scrum feed for the Irish. And I almost love the haircut. Pity Sharks game is on at the same time. I'll juggle between here and another stream. Is your phone's battery going to make it with the flash on? I have no idea, to be honest. If all of a sudden it goes dark, you will know exactly why. I don't think it uses a huge amount of the battery to have the flash on because it got the screen off and everything, but more than likely at some point it will probably go dark. Like, it's not too bad though. I'll be slightly darker than I am at the moment. Love the Irish 150th anniversary jersey. Says Jimbo there. Yeah, monumental occasion for the Irish. Bit of a throwback collar on the kit. And then you've also got like so much based around this game. The little stories between these sides. 911 kgs for the Aussies compared to the 898 kgs of Ireland. So two big packs involved for this matchup. Kieran will be fighting everyone soon, says Mr. Marmite. And now that one's gone down in the front row. Now we're going to have ourselves the first scrum reset. Now, hopefully this game isn't heavily dominated by scrums. Could you give us a time check? I think you are a little ahead of me, says Gus. At the moment, I am 3 minutes and 7 seconds in. So since I'm watching on the TAB, it is a little bit further forward than normal. But all I would recommend doing if you want to have it exactly synced is whatever coverage you've got of me, just click pause on it for, I don't know, 10 seconds or so, and then hopefully it will be a lot closer. But now Jameson Gibson Park ready to feed this ball in 17 seconds, says Jimbo there. Did you count Jimbo? Oh no, I guess you looked at your scoreboard and then realised, right, that's 2 scrum resets already for the very first scrum of this game. We don't want to see a third. But there is a chance that we will. Go the Wallabies, says Fairgrove Freestyles. Of course, do let me know your score predictions as well, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like Andrew Porter just having a bit of a chat there with Taniela Tupou about the scrum. And the starts of rugby games are the most nerve-wracking, says Robert T. And yeah, this one, we're not really learning too much about the two sides in terms of just how these scrums have started. But Ireland's backline already looks like it's going to be quite quick paced. Thanks for the work, the Kiwi lads. Cheers, mate. Says Fairgrove Freestyles. Thank you very much for being here. It is Awesome to see so many of you for the last game of international rugby. Like I said, many people didn't even know that this game was actually taking place, seeing as the internationals pretty much all finished last week. That's going to be the free kick to Ireland, though. So we weren't going to get to see that scrum, and we haven't seen one as of yet. Nice backline, though, Robbie Henshaw. In fact, it's going to be the inside ball available. He's just dropped it in the end. Close to the line, Hugo Keenan puts the ball down. Disappointed about it too. Of course, had a little bit of a stint in the sevens for the Irish over the Olympics, but that was a great backline movement, putting Keenan through a gap. Australia scramble defence. It's been tested many times. A missed tackle from Jorgensen almost led to the chance of scoring. But now we got ourselves another scrum reset. So we are going to see plenty of those, I believe, throughout this game. But hopefully, eventually they start slowing down and we don't see one every couple minutes, just because at the end of the day, everyone wants to see these two sides running the ball. It is what both of them are known for. Of course, Ireland, very good with using their forward pack and being able to bundle forward. The Aussies more so known as that backline moving team without too much in terms of heavily relying on their forwards, unless it's the front row. They normally chuck the front row in a couple of times. We have got their great strip to prevent the try. Yeah, very nicely done by Australia, and at a very important time in this game as well, when Ireland started flowing, but currently the Aussies have got themselves the ball. And they will go away to Brandon Payanga-Mosa. Rides a cow to catch horses. That's gold. Always doing things the hard way and can't see the Aussies coming or causing an upset here. Must be Ireland by at least 15. I'm not sure about that big of a score margin. I think it could be high scoring between these two sides once we start seeing them breaking through a little bit. But yeah, until then, I think it's going to be a very hotly contested and close one between the teams coming to Ireland from Switzerland and watching from Comoros, I should say. Not great connection, but I will try. I can't watch the game, or at least I can watch Hamish. He's spoken RSA every day, so hopefully you are enjoying your time in Comoros. Currently 40 metres out from the line. Australia look like they will go to the short side. Gordon put under a little bit of pressure in the breakdown from Doris, just to try and cause a bit of a nuisance. I tell you what, Ireland weren't too far away from getting the turnover there. Optimistic prediction, 12 to 13, in favour of the Australians, says Fairgrove Freestyles. Will Ireland go to third place in the rankings if they lose? I believe they do, yes. With where the Australians are based, that's nicely taken under the high ball for the Irish. Getting up to that one was James Lowe. Big knock on from Finlay Bealham, and then followed up by a knock on from the Wallabies, which brings us to scrum number 3 of the first 6 minutes. And if you count the scrum resets, we've now had, this will be our 5th. But realistic prediction, 37 for the Irish, 10 for Australia, says Beergrove Freestyles. And come on, Ireland from Switzerland. And also hello from Ireland, Padraig O'Brien here. How you doing, lads? Says Padraig. Doing very well, mate. Hopefully you are doing well also. Excited for this game. Also excited for a bit of the other rugby that we've got over the weekend. The sevens taking place. We've already seen 2 huge upsets along the way there. I'm going for the Irish, says Bridget. And Joe Schmidt has our respect. Hope a 1-score result, says Aaron. And we have got their Slanty, says Kristen. And also we've got that fancy the Wallabies to pinch this one at the net, says Chris B. Well, that's the thing. If Australia are close in the closing moments, we saw it up against the English. They seem to just find that next gear. Ireland up against the Argentines, they had a little bit of a different mentality in those final moments. They were able to hang on. So I think that if this game is close with 5 minutes to go, it's going to be a really exciting, fast-paced last 5, because Ireland, if they're in the lead, they will try their best to try and stop the Aussies, and then Australia will just keep on throwing themselves at the line, hoping for the best. Now, Nola Lisico doing exactly that, 30 metres out from the line for Australia, looking to get on the score sheet first at the Aviva. Now, nice flat ball. Daniela Tupou goes to Rob Valentini, flicks the ball out the back door. It's a bit loose, but Callaway manages to pick it up. Missed tackle from Prendergast. And a big shot coming in on Callaway to the chest. That ball's going to be knocked backwards by the Aussies and now loose, and it goes into touch. That looked awful. But they're trying things at least in the early stages. Cian Healy will be Ireland's most capped player. He comes off the bench today, 134th appearance for the boys in green, says John. And yeah, just an absolute workhorse for the Irish. He's been in that jersey for so long. Here we go. They're going upstairs. That one that I mentioned about hitting Callaway relatively high. It's going to be head contact against Joe McCarthy. New background says Albert, only because I'm on holiday. It will be back to normal next weekend. Plus for the rest of the videos, all Cowboys have a gun. And minus 28 here. Tell you what, that's pretty chilly. Are you using like a phone at this stage, Leon? Because if you're using a phone at minus 28 degrees, that's probably a really good advertisement for whatever phone you have. And go the Aussie, says Brendan. And I had Irish friends once, but now I haven't any friends. Says Bruce, right, Joe McCarthy. Oh no, sorry, it was on Rob Valentini. And it is head on head. And unfortunately for McCarthy, he's come up and he's kind of rode up with it, which means, unfortunately, this is probably going to be a yellow card. And no one wanted to see cards in this game, but unfortunately, it's something that has summed up the November internationals and a lot of the big matches we've been seeing them. And this is going to be no different. WGF, are you wearing? Says Anthony, it's called a hoodie. I wasn't going to pack my suit while I was on holiday just because I didn't really have a lot of room in the suitcase with all the other recording and streaming equipment. It's a low level of danger, but he does ride up. Okay, it's just a penalty. Now, 9 times out of 10, we have seen that given as a yellow throughout November. So that's a little bit surprising, but at the end of the day, like Piardi said, low level of danger. Yes, he was going in an upwards direction, but Valentini, they worked on the theory he was very upright and he's tall, I guess is the thing they've said. Tie the kangaroo down. Says David, I'm using a phone in the warm house. Says Leon there. And the US uses Fahrenheit. Says Aaron, it's still very cold though, minus 28 degrees in Fahrenheit. So it is going to be Australia's ball now. They will get the opportunity to either kick this one towards the corner or they can go for the 3 points. And can he use metric, not imperial, and hope Ireland lose? Because I don't think they deserve to be second in the rankings, says Bruce. I mean, to be fair, the Irish, they had a pretty successful Six Nations. They had a decent July international period, going 1-1 up against the world champs. And, when you look at what they've done throughout up until that last World Cup, they were on about a 15, it might have even been higher match winning streak, so I can still understand why they're as high as they are. It's just that they're not in the best form currently compared to what they were when they were near that number one. But Noel Alessio lining up the kick, and he does get it down the middle. So Australia take the lead here, 3-0 in favour of the Wallabies. The rest with them, says Robert T. And F's the Australia lad just as much as or F's the Australia lad just as much at fault, says Dennis. I mean, to be fair, Valentini just ran it straight in an upright position. So it's one of those ones, like I said, we've seen them given as yellow cards before in November. We've seen them not given. And that's just, it depends on the referee. In this case, the fact that the TMO wanted him to check it makes me think that the TMO thought it was worthy of a card rather than just maybe a penalty. That looks like 2 players have taken each other out while running through, and that is going to be the penalty in favour of the Irish for Australia taking out a chaser. I think the rankings are not compatible. Rankings are mathematically produced, says Jimbo. And cold 28 degrees Celsius in Pretoria, South Africa, next to Loftus. And we have Goodell. I'm with you, Bruce. F Ireland. And back-to-back Six Nations, says Aaron. And Ref 8 Southern Hemisphere, says Spider-Mick. Yeah, the last time we get to see North versus South up until July next year, I believe, or probably June. Someone will have an early one. But Max Jorgensen trying to run through there and does run straight into the Irish player. Kane got sent off for that exact thing in the finals last year, says Robert T. Now going off to the left-hand side, Bundy crashing forward towards Lena Cattell. Jameson Gibson Park off to Doris. They're currently 20 metres out from the line here for Ireland. Finlay Bealham, that is his second time dropping the ball. Not having a great start to this match, unfortunately, for the Irish. Tie here, prop, wide cut-out pass from Aussie. It's gone forward, so they'll go back for scrum number 4, 5, somewhere around there. At the moment, we're getting a scrum every 2 or 3 minutes. Come on, Capri Wannabes. Says Leon, what's up with all these cold places? You people should come over to sunny South Africa. And we have got there, I love me some Cadbury chocolate. And personally, one of the games I enjoyed most was the Ireland versus South Africa group stage game during the last World Cup. Says Aaron. And go the Wallabies 23 points to 22 for the Australians to win, says Gary. Also go on a last-minute thriller. I would happily accept a last-minute thriller between these two sides. And yeah, hopefully it is relatively close. The last thing we want here is a complete runaway for either of these sides. I feel like we want to see one that goes down to the last 10 minutes, see both sides really dig in and finish November with a great performance. Tyg Furlong actually in the stands there. Massive push from the Irish at scrum time, but the ball has still popped out the back door for Australia. Now Nola Alessio kicking it downfield and managing to find the touchline. What Cadbury Choc? It's like eating cheap plastics, says Wayno. So out of curiosity, Wayno, what's your chocolate of choice then? Just to be able to compare. And Stormers are doing bad at the moment. They were actually coming in as massive favourites, weren't they? The Stormers, I have to say, those two URC sides are absolutely stacked. And I am thoroughly looking forward to watching that game after this one. Whitakers, says Wayno, to be fair, Whitakers, you've got a good shout there. But you know, Cadbury's not too bad. Cadbury has its place in the grocery shop, you know, supermarket, depending on where you're from. I always forget that I am from New Zealand, and then like different terminology depending on where people are. But you know, I don't mind a Cadbury. Cadbury's a lot easier to eat a whole block of and then instantly regret your life. Whereas Whitakers, you'd throw up halfway through it. Now nicely kicked to the back there for Nola Alessio. Kicking this one towards the sideline, and that one does go into touch about 37 metres from the line. Who are the Stormers playing? They're playing the Sharks in a South African derby. On any other weekend, if these games weren't overlapping, we would be covering both of them, but sadly, we could only do one. There's also Fiji versus New Zealand in the Sevens taking place currently. It's a lot of rugby for just one of me to be able to cover at the same time. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a shame, but at the same time, we're still very much enjoying the first 13 minutes of this game, and now looping around play. James Lowe does pass it in behind the Irish backline, so the set piece not quite working out for them there. A lot of yelling going on from someone. I'm not too sure who it is. I think it was an Aussie. Had a bit of a twang to the accent now. Jamison Gibson Park kicks it in behind, looking for that 50-22, or he's close to it. A very good kick in behind. Cadbury is for peasants. Cadbury owns Caramello. Says Robert T. That's Springboks number one in rugby. Liverpool number one, says Gary. And the Sharks 14-0, says Lilia B. And also rooting for Australia, South African fan, says Monica Rogers. Oh. Okay, there's going to be a bit of a reset now when it comes to the line out. Been a lot of stoppages throughout this game in terms of little things like the line out not quite being set and then the scrums going down. At least you are busy. Almost 365 now. Says Zenda there. That is true. Now, Brendan Poyanga Mosa. And it's going to be thrown in. Nicely taken. Gordon goes across there into the hands of Rob Bellatini. Cadbury is rubbish. They used to buy milk from a Beijing factory that produced milk powder that killed babies, says Bruce. Yeah, although I think it depends on whereabouts you get your Cadbury chocolate from. I know that the stuff from New Zealand, it used to come from Dunedin, but now it comes from Australia. A 7 score, I'm actually not sure what is the score in the sevens at the moment. I can probably find out. It won't be too hard, I don't think. One moment, just while we've got this line out about to take place for the Irish. Currently in play, Fiji are up 12 points to 5 in the sevens. So we'll try and give you an update a little bit later on as well in terms of what is happening at that next stage. I don't really care who's number one. It's about winning every game you play. You rank 1,000 as long as you beat everybody. Says Spider Mick. Yeah, I feel like rankings, in some regard, for me, only really tell you the odds in terms of who's the favourite, who's the underdog. Other than that, sometimes, you know, you look at them and you go, wow, I'm surprised certain sides are where they are. But at the same time, you know, like they've done the maths behind it. It just at times doesn't make sense for the rankings in terms of who's playing who. But it is all done off an algorithm and like in terms of there's exact like things that they base it off for who's where and who you play based off the points difference and everything along those lines. But it's going to be kicked in a touch by Australia. Another line out here, but a good territory gain for the Aussies. As the real cane sugar Coke. In South Africa, we use a glass and a half of milk. The Cadbury is the goat, says Zender. Now ready to throw this one in for Australia. They are 40 metres out from Ireland's line and offloading the ball back to Harry Wilson. Now a lot of movement in this back line with the inside ball going to Callaway. I don't think we're seeing Joseph Suaalii actually with the ball in hand as of yet. But as soon as he starts getting it, that is when Australia, in their first game anyway, up against England, were really able to thrive. Harry Wilson offloads it back. Here we go. Lena Katau in the midfield. Does get hit hard by Sam Prendergast, as well as a big Irish forward. Now Ballatini goes in behind to Tom Wright. Quick hands. James Slipper off to Loa Lolesio. Puts the grubber in behind. Back to cover was Keenan. It's going to be tackled by Max Jorgensen, but Ireland protecting this ball nicely. Australia is winning. Should I cash out, says Martin. I don't think they'll be paying a huge amount for the cash out side of things. We are only 17 minutes into this game, and Schmidt might know the Irish tactics and change things up, says Stephen. And we have got there, look for small print on products. Cadbury made since Oz in Thailand, and Corona beer is often made in China. Read the small print on your bottle. Anyway, back to the rugby, says Wayno. Nice clearing kick for Ireland there. Ready to throw this one is Brandon Payanga Amosa. Now Fraser McWright goes across, all big up and under. Attempted by Australia. Running onto this is Suaalii. He's used to dealing with those in the NRL, and he's got that one for the Australians. Passed out wide. Callaway steps and great last-ditch tackle by Sam Prendergast. Dragged him down by the bootlaces. And now 5 metres out. Australia still on attack, but they have started this match extremely well. Valentini. Big shot coming in from Andrew Porter and Gus McCarthy. Ireland's discipline. They have to make sure they stay on side here and bide their time. Oh, they've just given away the advantage for offside. As I said that. Now, nice loop and around play. Beautiful hands from the Wallabies. And Jorgensen gets the try in the corner. And that is a dream start to the match for the Australians here. They are up by more than a converted try. And the man who reaps the reward, it is Max Jorgensen, brought in for this game for Harry Potter. He was busy with the quit. No, we can't keep making wizard jokes. But Jorgensen scores off some great build-up from the Australians. But they tried the bomb up and under. Suaalii tried to slap it back. They might just check to see if there was a knock-on, but I believe a majority of the contact there came from Robbie Henshaw. And then a great ankle tap from Sam Prendergast, who initially stopped the build-up. Come on, Oz, says Novmum. And Aussie defence nice and tight around the ruck, says Jimbo. Now a tough kick for Noah Lolesio, but he'll at least try it. We're a quarter of the way through this game. And he struck it extremely well, straight down the post. And that is 10-0 now for Australia. So a little bit of a slow start for Ireland. But the thing is, they haven't looked that bad throughout this first 10-minute period. They've had some nice moments on attack, but the one thing that broke the momentum was that one backline that they tried where about 2 or 3 of the passes were unsuccessful. And then from there, it's pretty much been all Australia since that moment. Now let's go the Oz, and it's early, but worrying for Ireland. And Callaway should have got that try, though. He needs to improve to be a world-class winger, says Robert T. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of desperation from Sam Prendergast to make that ankle tap. Oh, Valentini dropping the ball cold off the kickoff, but it's gone backwards for Australia. And can never write the Aussies off, unfortunately. And come on, the boys in green, says Richard. Now it looks like Gordon will be rolling it back. He's being told to use it by PRD. Doesn't want to take too long. McCarthy, known for getting those charge downs around the side of the breakdown, but a decent clearing kick from Gordon there. And we have got the oh goody, says Bruce. You know, that almost does look like a knock-on from Rob Valentini inside of the 22. As he had his girlfriend's house today, says Robert V. I am not, no. I am at my auntie and uncle's house. I'm going to be going to the cricket in about probably 5 hours. Oh, no, we've got a TM. What are we checking here for the TMO? Oh, 6 gold pushing the opponent off the ball Action by 6 goal. This sounds like it's going to be a penalty going against Rob Ballatini for a push off the ball. Oh, no, I know what this will be, actually. It's going to be a push to the neck of Matt Hansen. He kind of led with the forearm. How many times have we seen players do that and go unpenalised, though, throughout November? In fact, throughout just this year. So, yeah, he pretty much pushes at him. He extends the forearm. It does hit him kind of in the neck region of Hansen, but it's one that we've seen time and time again. But I think they're going to decide to penalise Ballantini this time, and it had to be a knock on. Yeah, it was. He dropped it pretty roughly. Would be officially by the end of the excellent Irish era. Right, they're going to show it in slow motion. If they try and give this as a red card and watch the two games at the same time, if you video the Stormers versus the Sharks, says Daniel, yeah, it is a shame that these two sides or these two games do overlap. Is that high degree of danger? Right, low level of danger, penalty against Australia, but nothing more than that. I was being cheeky. Is that the correct word for that? That is the correct terminology there, Robert. But hopefully you are, of course, doing well. Yes, I went to pour some healthy bone broth and come back to see some score against Ireland. I do feel Southern Hemisphere got away with more, and North are getting a bit softer. I thought there was a knock on. Yeah, well, if it was given as the knock on, none of it would have happened anyway. But I guess for Ireland's sake, it's actually good that it wasn't a knock on because now they can kick for the corner and really look to bundle over that try line. As you mentioned, not a sponsor, just a different model. Australia have just got to keep the league going into half time. Yeah. If they can manage to stay up after the 40 minutes, they'll be in a good position in this game. But the last thing that they want here is to end up with someone in the bin. That is a good rolling maul from Ireland, and they have now got the penalty advantage for the rolling maul collapsing. Now going off to the left-hand side. Here for Ireland, eventually, no, that ball never came out. So, in fact, it is going to now be the penalty going the way of the Irish. They can either kick for the corner here or go yet again with another tap and drive. We've seen it so many times from Ireland. In recent times, they just love getting their hands on the ball, but I think that this is definitely going to be a kick for the corner moment. Ireland's run is over. And hi, Hamish, hope you're well, buddy. Says Nico, doing very well, mate. And we have got there, Hamish's shadow ray tracing. Says, cool story, bro. I assume that's this. It's actually my iPad. Anytime I have it too much further down, it falls over. But I've got the flashlight on just as the lighting for today passed back this time from Ireland rather than going for that maul. Caelan Doris tackled 10 metres out from the line. In fact, he's hardly even dragged down. He's still going, Doris, but it turns into a rolling maul. Bounces out the back door for Jameson, gives him Parkle. Referee getting cleaned out there almost. Next to the breakdown, Ireland 1 metre from the line, and again, the advantage has gone against the Australians, but Josh Van den Flower is over anyway, and Ireland have struck back in this game. I was out in the desert for work, missed a lot of coverage. Did you cover the sevens? We haven't covered the sevens as of yet, but tomorrow night we will be doing a lot more of it. It's just been because so many games have overlapped, plus I had to get a little bit of sleep in before this matchup because I'm pretty much leaving the house about an hour after this game finishes. So, yeah, I wanted to get like 3-4 hours. Do you know any or the score for the Sharks Stormers? Last time I knew. Oh, hang on, we're going back for a penalty, are we? I just heard something said by the TMO. Callaway got his head in the complete wrong place there as well when he tried to make that tackle. Oh, no, never mind. They were just reiterating something that had happened prior. But yes, Sharks versus Stormers. Last time I saw was 14-0 in favour of the Sharks. So a really good start. Not a great start off the kicking tee for Sam Prendergast, as it is sitting currently 10 points to 5. Hamish, does New Zealand only have white paint, says Mr. Marmite. Oh, iPad fell over again. No, there's plenty of colours over here. I guess you're referencing the wall. Like, white's a good base layer, though. Like, pretty much with anything, like jib board, you go with white for a start. Or what's that? No, it's not called plasterboard. I don't know what it's called in America. But pretty much like the one that's kind of chalky. And Callaway blown away and fresh haircut, ready for a date, I see. Says Jaco Vandenberg. At this stage, I've got a date with the cricket, which will be very exciting. Made it on TV 2 days in a row. Over, not yesterday, but the 2 days prior. Now I'm nicely cleaned up by Australia. Currently 5 points advantage. Oh, there's a lot of booing going on, so the TMO might have a look at something there. Now back across. Gordon goes to Callaway. The Irish defence in this game. Oh, there's going to be an actual advantage here for Ireland. I think there was a knock-on, was there? Yeah, just a little knock-on from Australia. Just got back from a hike, popped in to see the source. Come on, the Aussies. Says Graggle there. And typical TMO. Says Toilet Smithy. And currently Sharks 14, Stormers 3. Says Robert. Okay, so relatively close. I think it's drywall is the best comparison. Yeah, if it's kind of like that white chalky consistency. Clear try, what are you moaning at? Says Eric J. As in like the TMO side of things. Or it was a great try from Josh Van Flair. I didn't see anything wrong with it. I could just hear, because I've got the one that doesn't have the commentators, so I can just hear the TMO and the ref, and they were having a big chat about something. So hopefully nothing too severe, and it wasn't. So that's ideal. 25 minutes through in this game already. It is absolutely flown by. Another free kick going the way of the Irish at scrum time. We are yet to see a proper scrum with an Irish feed, unfortunately. Every time seems like there's an early push or just something that goes against Australia. Beautiful backline. Matt Canson cutting back inwards. Big tackle on him by Leonard Cattell. Tries to drive him into touch, and I think he almost put him there. Gives him Park inside ball. Joe McCarthy, I should say. Bit of a counter-up coming from Australia. Ball still there for Jamison Gibson Park. And like I mentioned, the way that he's come back from injury, that looked a little bit high from the Wallabies. Referee says play on for now. Prendergast goes in behind Bundy Aki with a skip pass out wide to James Lowe. Has the man with him, but he passes the ball straight into touch. Keller went on the inside rather than to the left. And number 8, Hardly Severe. And we have got the Sharks have more Springboks against the Stormers, says David. That is true, although the Stormers team on paper are still pretty stacked overall. Is Conor McGregor playing for Ireland or trying to sell his booze outside the stadium, says Stephen. Not sure. I know that there's been a bit of controversy around that man lately, though. Michael Chandler, he was supposed to fight him. Instead, he fought Oliveira. In fact, that reminds me, it's the UFC next weekend. I think we got a weekend off this week. Then we're back into it next week, or is the other UFC on this weekend, ladies and gents? It might even be UFC 310. Or are we the week off? I can't even remember. Don't fluff his last game, Aussies. Or don't fluff this last game, Aussie, sorry. And make a name for yourself, Ireland, as a nice scalp for the trophy cabinet. There's Roger there. A really poor game with the Z's from Dennis. I've enjoyed it so far. Yes, both sides have made a few errors, but with how many scrums we had in the first kind of 10 minutes or so, it's actually sped up a lot. And we've seen a lot of meters gained for both of these sides, a lot of meters from running the ball rather than kicking. My Brandon Payanga-Mosa about to throw this ball in. And now ready for their own line out, nicely claimed by Jeremy Williams. Once again, Valentini runs hard at the line. Have you done the eye fly? The eye fly. I assume that's for someone who was on a holiday, was it? Will another Southern Hemisphere team scrape yet another 1-point win? I mean, to be fair, if that was how the November internationals finished, that would be pretty much like what to expect or what we've expected throughout the whole. iPad fell down again. Throughout the whole of November. We've had some really close games. Not a huge amount of upsets yet. The only one who's really caused a big upset in terms of those real top sides was probably Australia. But now nice backline here for the Irish, going up to the 22. Australia giving them a few too many metres there, just allowing them to run. Then eventually making that tackle. Prendergast goes back across to Doris. Gibson Park, across to the right-hand side. Hugo Keenan, nice step from him. Can't quite get through Fraser McWright, who hasn't got one of those turnovers in the breakdown that he is really known for throughout Super Rugby. Great offload from Callaghan McCarthy. Gets within 5 metres. Australia trying to get the turnover, and they've done just that, and they've got the advantage as well. Oh, what's a Tom Latham? Says Fluffy there. Oh, we've got the bloody noisy game here by the Shark Stadium. Says, cool story, bro. That one's going to be kicked in a touch. Oh, hang on. Man down. Okay, it's not a double blow of the whistle because of something else. I always get nervous when I hear a referee go, I can't really whistle because it's early in the morning. But, yeah, it's an interesting one. And nice from the Aussie, says Graggle. And don't care about the UFC unless it's Marla versus Itoje or Itoje versus Itzbis, says Robert. And nice from the Aussie, says Graggle. In there as well. Oh, iPad fell down again. I think we're just going to have to accept that it might have to just stay down rather than it popping back up. But I will mention anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. You all being here for this match. We have still got a few more minutes till we get to halftime. And this game so far has been pretty fast-paced between these two teams. Tom Wright at the moment is currently getting his nose kind of put back together. Looks like he had the cotton bud right up it, trying to stop the bleeding, which hopefully it will work. And he'll be back into it in the very near future. But I think we're about to get going again. Where are you been, Fluffy? We're just going to see the replay here of what happened. I think. Are we? No. We're just going to see a slow motion of Sam Prendergast for that draw and pass. Now, James Gibson Park goes across to James Lowe, Bundy Key. So about 25 metres out. Ireland have had a lot more of the territory in the last little moment. The question is, can they make the most of it? They've already scored once. So some would say they already have. But can they get one more to give them the lead going into half-time? I was in Bunnings. I didn't see you. Says Mr. Marmite passed out wide once again. Mistake made by Ireland when it comes to their set piece. Something that you don't see very often for that side, or at least when they have their set back line that they want to go with. Oh, fired through the legs for Australia. Flat ball to Harry Wilson was marginally maybe forward, so they'll have to check that. But first of all, though, a brilliant run forward from the Australians, who are now 40 metres out from Ireland's line. Missed tackle on Fraser McWright as he gets to 30 out. And with 30 minutes into this contest as well, Australia, great chance, and they've decided to kick the ball away. But could they win the foot race here? Not quite. And Ireland have to force the ball. It will now be the goal line dropout. But pretty much going from one end of the field to the other for this Australian side. From inside of it, yeah, it was very flat, that pass. It was the one change to the outdoor dining set. And how are you, Kiwi lad, listening here in Denmark, mate? Welcome in, Davey. Hopefully you are keeping well. I would have no idea what time it is in Denmark. I assume it's around maybe 5 p.m, somewhere around there, but I'd have no idea about the temperature. Is it currently cold in Denmark? Davey, do let me know. We have got there. I'm not Vegemite, says Mr. Marmite. And Bates says, Eric, that's going to be a penalty to Ireland. Knock on in front. So pretty much an accidental offside. Will New Zealand scrape the locals? Or scrap the locals only for national team rule? I mean, Razor is a big advocate for the overseas players getting the chance. I have no idea if New Zealand Rugby will ever, decide to do that, though, because at the end of the day, that's the only thing keeping certain players in Super Rugby is the fact that they can play for the All Blacks. Without that security, New Zealand's team could look very different, but also New Zealand Rugby for Super Rugby, etc., could look very different as well. McGregor should have retired, says Aaron. Yeah, well, he's still got 2 fights on his contract, so I don't know what's going to happen there in terms of what his next plans are. I think he was going to be fighting near the end of 2025, but no idea. Now, nice run forward from Josh Van den Flair. Oh, loose ball. Picked up now by Taniela Tupou. He's going to injure himself and he keeps running at this pace, but he has offloaded the ball straight to Sam Prendergast. But he made probably about 40 metres there. Taniela Tupou, but the penalty goes the way of Australia. Right, this game's well and truly opened up now. We've had a back and forth and a half over the last 3 minutes or so. And both of these teams, are going to get extremely tired. It was a loose ball intercepted by Taniela Tupou, who's going from his own 40 pretty much to the opposition 22, and then just ends up giving it back to Prendergast, who's done some very good things on defence throughout this game. And we have got there, your husband needs to put on shelf up for him and calm down your yeast. I've never heard yeast used as an insult, to be honest. Like yeast, the terms of bread and whatnot's quite handy. But now Nola Alicio to line up this kick. Due to that missed kick from Prendergast earlier on, if they get this one over, it will give them that 8-point lead. Super Rugby needs to get more variety and challenge. Says another person. Well, that's the thing. Like, it just can't compete with the overseas money that's going around. Like, it doesn't do too bad in certain regards, but, oh, yep, that one's gone over from Noah Lalicio, making the score now 5 points to 13. But, like, yeah, they just can't compete with the amount of money that is being thrown around in France and Japan. And I think that's why New Zealand Rugby are so scared to let players from overseas play in New Zealand or for the All Blacks, because if they do that, they will lose a lot of players in the first year. And did Australia think our forwards would be making this many line breaks, says Robert T? Yeah, both sides. I think the forwards are doing just as much running as the backs at the moment. In fact, I think the forwards have been a little bit more successful for both teams than their back lines. Our backs aren't linking up quick enough. Argentina would be killing Ireland right now with these plays, says Robert T. Currently, Australia, they have got themselves the possession. A lot of pressure on Gordon. Gets it back into the pocket. Noah Lalicio still inside the 22 and a big boot downfield from Tom Wright. But this gives Ireland a good chance to go from their back 40 metres out from the airline. Big shot coming in on Prendergast. And nice chase from Hugo Keenan. I have no idea what happened there, but no one chased. And there's a knock on the ground from Keenan. Very unlucky because that was brilliantly done by the Irish fullback. And just no one seemed to care that the ball was up in the air. We're going to see it now. Hugo Keenan chased. Jake Gordon, to his credit, pulled out because he knows how many guys have been penalised for that exact thing. But if Hugo Keenan took that and stepped the last defender, he was actually going to score there. There was no one else back. Halftime 14-3, Sharks up. Says Robert, okay, so a decent first half for the Sharks, managing to score themselves those 2 early tries. Now, 34 minutes into this game currently, Joseph Suali'i hasn't had a huge amount of possession as of yet. Make the Southern Hemisphere proud, gents. Don't chuck this, says Andrew. And you're coming in as $5.25 underdogs for this match, the Australians. Currently, if we have a quick look, they are sitting $2.10 underdogs now. So they've made leaps and bounds in the right direction. Every time I go to the kitchen and come back, the Aussies score, says Bruce. So depending on whether or not you consider that a good thing, Bruce, will depend on how many visits to the kitchen you have in the second 40. Yeah, would end perfectly if Australia beat Ireland, and I'm a South African, says Albert. Well, I made heaps of money, says Martin. I wish it could be sent to Australia as a punishment. But now the scrum feed. This one's going to be in favour of the Australians. Now we have their 5-5 odds. It's amazing, bro. My $10, man. Did you cash out in the end, Martin, or did you hang on? Are you doing balls versus Conrad, says Daniel? Sadly not. Just because we are on holiday, like we were able to do this game, but then during that next match of the URC is when we are leaving to go to our next location. So, yeah, I won't be able to do those ones. But luckily, we're going to be doing the Champions Cup next week. So we got a lot coming up, just not so much this weekend, although we've still got the sevens tomorrow that we will be covering on the channel. But yeah, I wish I could have covered more games this weekend. That's going to be the penalty going the way of going the way of Ireland, I should say. We have good support whoever wins, says Immortal. I guess that's pretty safe, isn't it? Then no matter what, you're happy. And my cash out is $22.50. Should I cash out? That is completely up to you, Martin. And that one is going to go on to touch. Sam Prendergast again kicks it right into the 22 of the Aussies. Distance to the try line, about 9 metres or so. It's a good spot. Lineouts one, we've seen 9-1 by Ireland, 1 lost. And then Australia, they've managed to get themselves 4 from 4. So we haven't seen any mistakes as of yet at lineout time. We're going to Dubai in 2 weeks after the school classes, says Daniel. So hopefully you do thoroughly enjoy it. The 7's currently taking place there. Cape Town next week. That's going to be a loose ball. Ireland have lost their lineout here for the second time. And first time here, come on the Australians, especially after they destroyed my team Wales. Hope they do the same to Ireland, says Scorch. Well, they certainly started well. They've looked set, the Australians. Sometimes when they are defending, they can be in a little bit of trouble. Oh, Kalen Doris has to release that one. But a push and shove in the breakdown as well from Josh Van den Flair and Rob Valentini, and a decent clearing kick from Jake Gordon. I was just watching the Sharks game. What on earth is going on here? Australia are winning well. Gee, Australia, says 9HD. And tell me, Hamish, where are you commentating? It doesn't look like you're home. I am currently on holiday. So, yeah, that's why it looks a little bit different. We will be back to the normal setup, not tomorrow, but the next day. Or maybe the next day after that, depending on what happens. But yeah, that's why it looks a bit different. And also the lighting, I do apologize for it. It's not great. I've got my flashlight on my phone. As you can see, that's my only real source of lighting, other than all the lights are like behind. Oh, big shot coming in on Matt Hansen. Loose ball, has to clean it up twice. And now 25 metres out from their own line here, Ireland. Finley Bealham does well to hang on to it. Oh, James Slipper almost able to get that turnover in the breakdown. At the batch, no, at family's house. So pretty much everyone else is still sleeping. But luckily I'm on the other side of the house, and hopefully I haven't woken them all up, seeing as it's currently 5 a.m. But now offloaded from Kelleher, loose ball. Jameson gives him Park manages to clean it up. Hugo Keenan kicks it across field, looking for the 50-22. But the ball says no, or does it? No, stayed in the field of play. I think the cameraman thought that it went out. And that's a good clearing kick from Jorgensen. Get a bit more territory for Australia. Okay, bye. I got to go to rugby practice, says Daniel. Well, enjoy. Hopefully it does go well. Rugby practice on a Saturday is definitely commitment. That is for sure. Are you going to do commentary on your birthday? We certainly are, yes. Seeing as it is, yeah, so pretty much we'll have the 7s taking place for the quarters that are before my birthday, and then the semis and the final will both be taking place on my birthday morning for 5 a.m. Fair play, lad, says Aaron. And damn it, says Padraigi, a great chance for the Irish if that ball had just gone a little bit further to the side, but it didn't want to. Looks like Jorgensen might have some sort of injury, possibly to the rib cage. Oh, one of the Aussies have just said, look at the replay. I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're checking the TMO here and playing free, says Robert T. If Australia win, New Zealand will go back to number 2 in the rankings. And I bet you Ireland's going to have a comeback. Yeah, they're a good side in the second half normally. They're able to up that tempo. Both sides, like Australia have had their fair share of errors here, but I think Ireland have been the much less. Oh, that's an ugly leg chop from Finley Bealham. He tried to charge it down and, yeah, just takes him out late, which I think is what they're checking. Now, Bealham did apologise straight afterwards, but I feel like if he's apologising, that may be because he realises that he got it quite wrong. Okay, so it's actually going to be a penalty where the ball landed to the Australians. I think Harry Wilson's asking whether or not it could have been upgraded to something more than just a penalty, but referee says will just be the pen to Australia, showing why they aren't number 1 in the world anymore, says Martin. And Ireland not controlling the ball. Exactly right. They just haven't really been able to get set. We haven't seen a huge amount of phases time after time from Ireland, which we were used to seeing all throughout last year. And we have got Aaron O'Gara to coach Razor Bestie, says the Blues Nate. And Ireland dropping the ball more than the Kiwi cricketers. Oof, that's still very fresh, isn't it? But also not great to watch live. I do have to say that. The crowd did not like those ones. The 7 times or whatever it was that it happened. Looks like they will now kick this one towards the touchline with Noel Alisio. Still 2 minutes remaining in this first half. So a good chance if Ireland do make a mistake that we could see Australia breaking through and getting themselves one late try in the half. I remember I'm the only Robert in the chat. Says Robert V there. And Robert has said not. We got the second Robert. Where does Ireland go in the rankings of Australia win? They will be third in the overall standings, I believe. Now, Rob Bellatini with the pick and go around the side of the breakdown actually goes back a metre or two. So not a real gap. Next to that side, knock on there from Fraser McWright. Just gets the flat ball from Harry Wilson. Oh, a little bit of push and shove was about to take place between Williams and Prendergast. Tensions are high in this game. At the end of the day, both of these sides want to finish their November on a high. Van der Flair is actually from Boksburg, says Leon there. We have there Joe Schmidt has all Ireland secrets, so gives Oz a leg up. Ronan O'Gara to manage Ireland team and Farrell to England, says Aaron O'Sullivan. And wait till Australia start throwing the ball into the line out underarm, says Phil. The thing is, you're actually allowed to, aren't you? I know it's a cricket reference, but I think you're actually allowed to, aren't you? As long as you throw it straight, you can actually pass it in as well. It's just a bit more obvious when you're going for the pass. I think that's the rule. Maybe that's just in sevens that you're allowed to do a little bit of everything. That's another penalty going to Ireland. Their scrum has been strong throughout this first half when it has been allowed to function. And Bob's Yanko, what was happening with the Black Caps? No less than 7 drop catches. This is unlike New Zealand. Yeah, they've gone from having near perfect fielding up against India in India to absolutely butchering it up against the English. Normally like French people, but I make an exception, or normally like French people, but I make an exception for this ref. He's Italian. Old Piardi. So you normally don't like French, or you normally like the French? I'm very confused. And come on, somebody make a move, please, says Pedraig. Now ready to throw this one in, nicely taken by Ireland again. We've just crossed the 40-minute mark, which means another stoppage, and we are going into half-time. Gibson Park, across to the left-hand side, Tyke Burn. Still 30 metres out here, Ireland, but they're in a good position on the field. Bunny Aki receives a good momentum pass from Jameson Gibson Park. Ireland once again moving on the front foot here. Ball's loose. Gibson Park, short ball. Does pop out on the side of the Irish. Yet again, Joe McCarthy. This is a patient build-up. Probably their most phases in a long time. A little bit of a fumble there from James Lowe. Manages to keep the ball alive. And just as I said that, they make the mistake. They go into touch. And that is the end of the first half. Australia up by 8, ladies and gentlemen. And Confused Do says zero connection. And Ireland are coming undone as we get further and further away from the Sexton era. And thank you for all your commentary. Good on you, mate. Says Robert, thank you very much for being here. And Ireland need more gingers, says Mr. Marmite. And Hamish, your audio settings are on the soft side. I have you on max and can barely hear you, says Albert. I think that's just the location. And also because I'm running it through my laptop rather than running it through what I normally would. But the mic, I think I've got it turned up pretty much as I can without it really making some rattling, or not rattling, but like some, I can't remember the word. It's currently 5 a.m., but some static type arrangement. Ugly game with poor passes and a ref that doesn't want the yellow anymore, says Strane, I should say. Sexton was selfish, nailed on too long without a true replacement. And Arky says, Gus, massaging my prostate. Welcome back. I can't say your name anymore because I think you've changed it. Sexton organised the rest of the team well, says Boy. A distortion, that's the word I was after. And Ireland just not catching. Yeah, their backline just hasn't quite functioned throughout this one. I can hear you clearly in the US, says Robert V. And yep, true that, Bill, says Dr. And there as well. And Hamish, congratulations, doing good. Thank you very much, Nico. And good to see an Aussie resurgent in the World Rugby. I just wish it wasn't at the expense of Ireland, says Aaron O'Sullivan. Yeah, like there's still a lot of time left in this game, though. Both sides have a lot of potential to go out there and really put on a show in the final moments. How long is Ireland just going to not function, says Mr. Tuba Dude. Yeah, well, it happened all throughout that first half. They just weren't quite able to find their rhythm. couldn't get that momentum flowing, and it was hurting them because there were multiple chances when they were hot on attack that one pass or one little mistake was just not really helping them out. So hopefully the second 40, it is going to be a lot more promising for them, as we do want to see this one go down to the wire. Let's have a bare knuckle then, says Mr. Marmite. And we have the Ireland can only score 5 points in the first half. We'll score another 5 points in the second half, says Martin. Why isn't James O'Connor part of the team? Just curious, says Leonard. I think he's a little bit older than Joe Schmidt is looking for in his number 10 jersey. Honestly, I think he's a little bit similar to Quade Cooper in that regard, but he is signed with the Crusaders, so we're going to get to see him in action for Super Rugby this year, which is great to see. Ireland playing with two inside centres and not getting to the wing quick enough, need Ringrose. Yeah, I think that Gary Ringrose, I know that they wanted to start Henshaw because Henshaw's been looking relatively strong recently, but maybe this is where you do need to look at that switch and work out what's going wrong in that Irish backline, as James O'Connor retired now. He's got a lot of baggage anyway, says boy. He's been around for a very long time in terms of the Irish, or sorry, the Australian setup. This imbecile referee should be working in a pasta factory, not refereeing rugby, says Frank. What's happening to the dynamic Ireland, says Stefan. Unfortunately, it's just not quite linking up at the moment. We've seen it happen for teams throughout November. It's just unfortunate that Ireland, it's happened in actually more games than not as of yet, but that doesn't mean that they can't get back into this game. 8 points down, does Henshaw Ringrose not work? It normally does. Bundy Aki Ringrose also is a very strong pairing. So, yeah, I'm not sure what their plan's going to be. If it was up to me, I would say, as a coach, Bundyaki, you got 15 minutes, throw absolutely everything into it. Don't get a card because that's the last thing that they need, but empty the tank and then put Ringrose on, or say the same to Henshaw and just get something different in that combo. James Lowe, he hasn't looked that flash out there on the wing, making a couple errors in terms of linking up with the rest of his team. Aki's like 35, says Graggle, and does normally gas a little bit closer to the end of the game. So that's why I'd chuck him in as the guy who makes his way from the field. The Italian ref, biased AF here. Is he biased towards Australia or Ireland, out of curiosity, Frank? Just interested there on the take, whether or not, the Aussie or the Irish biased. Can hear you well here in the rice fields of central Thailand. Thanks for the live stream, says Gideon. Well, thank you very much for watching. It is hugely appreciated. And James O'Connor was my absolute favourite player when he was at the Western Force. Thought he would be a jewel. Is it really any chance Aki makes it to the next World Cup? Probably not, no. I think that there's a few of these guys for Ireland that might not make it. Same with Australia, although they are definitely looking to try and lower that average age in this Aussie side. Neither. He doesn't want to swing the game, says Durnay. We don't blame the ref in Ireland, says Kieran, and go Australia from Quebec, Canada. Jimmy O'Brien was the form for Leinster last night. Need him starting in the starting in the Six Nations, and go Australia. And thought he would be a jewel on the crown for the golden generation for Australia. And come on, the Aussie says a sucker buller there. But anyone who is new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Like I said, I am in a different setup to the one that we would normally be in. We normally have the green screen. We normally, for the big matches, got the suit and tie. Sadly, both missing from this one. Prendergast has a significantly bigger boot than Lolesio, says Rob. Yeah. And that's the thing, Noah Lolesio, he's had a lot of minutes in that 10 jersey, and some people thought that he wasn't going to be the fly half that they look towards. But overall, with some of the results throughout November, maybe he was the right choice. And travesty that Sexton didn't get a World Cup, by the way, especially if Ireland don't win today, says Boyd 10 and up the mighty Wallabies. Anyone know what stadium this is on? What station this is on in Ireland? I think I heard someone say Virgin Media Sport have this one, but I could be wrong. The ref is biased towards being very lenient, says Mr. Tuba Dude. Right, you missed the one word in that, which was the team that you're saying he's biased towards. So do let me know. And up the mighty Wallabies says distorted. And I think Ireland come out a different team in the second half. Up till now, I thought they were playing a Rugby World Cup quarterfinal and just got out of jail here in Colorado. Good to be able to watch with y'all. Well, Pate, I hope you've learned your lesson then in that regard. Are you able to turn your volumes up? Few Kiwi lads. Our fans can't hear you, says Blues Nate. I can't change it that much, I don't think. I could probably go up a little bit more. Like I'll go to about here is probably about as high as I can go without it really distorting. So, yeah, I do apologise for it being a little bit more quiet, but I don't think I can turn it up too much more just with the mic that I've got with me. Mr. Verstappen, any injuries? No serious ones. Both sides still able to function 100%, so no real early changes have been made either. But it's not loading for me, says Aaron. You're in Ireland, it's on Virgin Media. And I wasn't the one who said he was biased. I was just piggybacking that other guy. And Crowley will be on at 10, second half. I agree, Valentini, one of the standout players this year, says Sakabula. Yeah, he's had to work hard for the Australians. And, there are a few guys that have really been able to step up. Well, good, Hamish. Thanks. Thank you anyway, Tribal Chief. What would you rate Razor's performance this year, says Deshaun? See, overall, I would probably give it about a 7 or an 8. Like, yes, they did lose 4 games, but when you look at the losses, overall, they weren't the worst ones in the world. You lose twice to the world champs in South Africa, both games split by less than 7. Losing to Argentina and New Zealand, that was probably the one that was their worst loss, and then losing to France by 1 point at the Stade de France, not awful compared to the last time that they played with a lot more experience. They did lose by 14. So, I feel like they've done all right. One thing that I don't think they've done enough of, though, is rotation and giving those younger guys opportunities. We've seen pretty much the same New Zealand side all throughout the year. The only real change is due to injury. So I don't think they've learnt too much. At the end of the day, I don't think they've given those young guys that shot enough. And we saw what happens when you do with Wallace Satiti managing to get himself breakthrough player of the year. Not as good as Joe Schmidt, says Kieran. This ref feels very consistent, but it's once again interpreting different to other refs, but it is across the board, says Mr. Tuber. And also we have got their Pate, and not as good as Joe Schmidt, says Kieran. One moment, I think I missed a few more messages. And there as well, Australia is still building, and they're hungry for this win against Ireland, especially in Dublin. Australia Lions tour. I'll put a lot of perspective on Australian ruggers, says Anthony. And that's the thing. I actually think that if Australia win this match, that builds a lot more hype for their British and Irish Lions tour match. If they go into that series with a win over the Irish, a win over the English, not quite a win over the Scottish, they would have liked to add that one on as well. But, you're in that scenario. If they can add those, they'll add a win here and put that all in the hype of the British and Irish Lions tour, I think it will be a very good day and a very good series when that does come around. I wrote the code already by saying you're in there, says Blues Nate. And we have got there, did you see Sonny Bill Williams is now a university pro-chancellor? I did not see that. No, and Ireland will come out as a different beast in the second half and win 27 points to 19. And the Sharks 14 to the Stormers 8, says Robert. So, yeah, the Stormers just getting themselves a try. I did see just before. I'm not too sure who scored it, but that could be a close game. Hopefully it goes down to the wire. Stormers were considered heavy underdogs. Heavy favourites, in fact, heading into that game. So whether or not they are able to make the most of that will be a different story. Johannes Smith is a great coach. Yeah, looking forward to the Lions tour, says Aaron. And yeah, I think the way that Australia have been able to fire back this year has certainly helped in terms of the interest in that Lions tour. It could have been a lot worse. We could have seen Australia lose 3 games in November, and then I don't think there would have been a huge amount of excitement around it. I give them 1-star rating, says Fluffy. One moment, we will go like that, and we will go like that as well. Second half is not too far from starting, ladies and gents. We have got there, you're looking forward to the Lions tour, and Sharks stacked with bot players, says Harlem. Yeah, they've got a lot of good players. Yet they came in as $4.20 underdogs heading into that game. So it certainly tells you how much they're backing the Stormers. Plus, the Stormers were away from home. So in Durban, the TAB still had like the Sharks as the underdogs. But whether or not they're right, we will soon know. I think the second half has taken place about 7 minutes in at the moment. It shows how bored Alex Jones was too. And anyone else think the Reds' positioning in the field is brain dead? He's standing in the way of both sets of players constantly. Australia haven't been rated for the past few years, says Aaron. Well, that's the thing. Like, it's very hard as a ref as well to know where you should be. Definitely when both of these sides have the tendency of a pick and go, as well as firing it out wide. But yeah, it is tricky for the ref to be able to find that spot that works well. And I mean, we saw him actually had to join a breakdown earlier on because he kind of got forced into it and go the Aussie U Beauty. This live for this weekly feed. Oh, I live for this weekly feed. So I really appreciate your work. I'm happy. Got beer and your commentary on screen. Saturday sorted. Says Robert. Thank you very much, mate. And of course, we are going to be back for tomorrow with the sevens that has taken place. In fact, the sevens will be starting in about 14 hours' time. And we will be covering some of it on the channel as well. So if you guys are new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Wish we could make a team out of South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, and Argentina to face the British and Irish Lions. See, Benny, it would be pretty awesome to see a Sanzar Lions versus British and Irish Lions type of setup. Go Aussie, you beauty, says Henry. Ireland have no tactic against Australia rush defence. Out half should be, or should have a chip grubber, etc. to make him think, says Jimbo. But both of these sides making their way out of the tunnel. 40 more minutes of rugby action just around the corner here. Anyone who is new, of course, like I said, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We've got plenty more international fixtures coming in the sevens side of things soon. And then also the Six Nations will be all covered on the channel. We've got the Champions Cup coming next week. I'm in South Africa, diehard Springboks fan. Absolutely love your commentary. Really appreciate your work. Thank you very much, Cartha. It is greatly appreciated. And yeah, got the Champions Cup next week. We get to see the South African sides in action, the Blitzboks. Hopefully firing back up against the French in only about maybe 30 minutes time, somewhere around there. They are going to be going up against France. I only watch rugby, not sevens, says Albert, and that is fine. You don't have to watch every stream. As long as you're not one of those ones who comes on the stream for the sevens just to complain about sevens. Because we've had a few of those in the past. I was coaching the British and Irish Lions team. I'm not actually too sure yet. I assume Andy Farrell, but I could be wrong. Ireland is better. Says, I love Taylor Swift. And so good for the Aussies to be successful. Sans benefits go the convicts, says Robin. But now we are ready to go for the second half. Australia will be kicking this one off from left to right. Andy Farrell is the Lions coach, says John. It's going to be nicely taken. When did they actually announce the British and Irish Lions team, by the way? Is it after the Six Nations? I think it normally is, isn't it? Just because they have to make sure that there's no injuries that have taken place. But now running this one for Tom Wright on the halfway line. Gordon goes back across to James Slipper, passing behind. Leonard Cattell under a lot of pressure, just can't quite get the ball on the outside. I still don't think we've seen Joseph Suali'i with the ball in hand as of yet. Cracking to have this. Cheers, mate. Let's see a competitive forwards bash and get the Wallabies back. Back's a chance to run, says Nicholas. Some Park having to pull out of that one, seeing as he was on the wrong side of the ruck. Now, Jake Gordon kicks a high. Valentini, the only man chasing, and a big shot coming in on Hugo Keenan. For Ireland in position. Passed him behind. James Ryan goes across to Sam Prendergast. Now Robbie Henshaw passes to Hanson, who gets through one. Finds the offload to Bundy Arkey. And for Ireland, one thing that wasn't quite gelling was the chemistry of that back line in the first 40. It's a flat pass to Doris. Prendergast goes across to James Lowe. The scoreline doing Australia proud, and I love Mariah Carey, says Albert there. And yeah, it's announced around 1 month after the Six Nations, says John. So yeah, we'll be keeping a close eye on that Six Nations comp. We're doing all the live streams for it as well, and we'll be able to pick our own British and Irish Lions team. And that's going back for the penalty to Ireland. I remember way back in the day for the South African British and Irish Lions tour, we did like a 1 minute trying to name our whole British and Irish Lions team in just that short amount of time. And I think I messed up a few of the names back then as well, but I think we'll take a little bit longer to pick our British and Irish Lions team this time rather than the 60 seconds. How many newbies in this Irish team today? Not many, if any, as the song says. Off the bench, there are a few differences for Ireland, but they also still have a few experienced heads like Cian Healy will become the most capped Irish player of all time. Right, Ireland actually opting to kick towards the sticks here rather than going for the corner. So just trying to close that gap, seeing as they are down by 8 currently. But Prendergast is sitting 0 from 1 today. So we'll certainly want this one to go over. It is straight out in front of the post, about as easy as a kicker would want. Strikes it, and he's got it over now. So that will make the score between these two sides 13 points to 8. Let's go. Let's wrap it up. And also we have got there, I hate Taylor Swift on my screen. I can't stand her, the biggest of all time, says Spider Mick. And we have got there from Fluffy, Bonnie, I don't trust girls with Bonnie, Boney, I think that is, isn't it? And good to take the kick. Yeah, now closing the gap a little bit more between these two sides, only 5 points separating them, 13 points to 8, a familiar score for the Irish, but just the other way around. But now trying to go through the middle of the breakdown was Australia, not successful in the venture. Jameson gives them Park, ready to boot this one high. Taking a long time to come down, but it's nicely claimed by Tom Wright. He's had a tough day at the office at number 15. Very good, says Robert. I've been failing at kicks in the corner this series, says Aaron. And morning all, says Waikato 62. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing well. Nice backline movement here from Australia. The last pass just not quite functioning, though. And Hansen drives Callaway backwards. Little bit of an awkward breakdown, but Robbie V picks up the ball, keeps it on the side of the Australians. Aaron Prendergast useless, says Kieran. And Connor said, just tuned in, knew it. I knew it as soon as I saw the team sheet Farrell put out. We were in trouble. This is practically the same team that lost badly to New Zealand and barely beat Ireland. Beat Argentina, says Connor. It's going to be kicked high, nicely taken on the halfway line by Hugo Keenan. Now off to the left-hand side. Sam Prendergast trying the cross kick, and it goes straight into the hands of James Lowe, who has a mountain of pace with him. And now a little bit of a counter-up coming from Australia. Ball just staying on Ireland's side. Nicely done by Callaway to pull out there without giving away the penalty, or else possibly could have been something more than just the pin. Okay, Fraser McGrath almost got set up there by the ref. He asked could he do something about it in the breakdown. The ref said yeah, and then Fraser McGrath tried it, but he went in through the sides of the ref straight away, changed his mind as he get out of there. Tyke Byrne goes across there, flat ball, the Irish chance, starting to go around the ground. Gibson Park pops it up to Mac Hansen, who passes out wide. Once again, a knock on from James Lowe. Had no space to work with. And poor again from the World Rugby Dream Team number 11. And so will he playing? He is indeed, but he's hardly touched the ball at the moment. A win here will change everything for Australia, says another person. And a totally different team, says Kieran. James Lowe did so well off that cross kick and then just ran out of space down the wing. The pass from Henshaw wasn't the best, was behind him, so Lowe had to try and bring it in. And we have Gadea win here. Oh, no, I read that one. And Cows on Shrooms, that's the thing. Cena, I'll never forget it. What's the difference between Kanga and the Walla? If any Oz out there explain between... So, like, a kangaroo and a wallaby. Normally, I think it's just the size of the animal. But then also, I think there's that little bit of a difference in terms of the build of them. So I guess it's like a different species of bird in a way, like how there's different kind of kangaroo and kind of wallaby. That's a good take under the high ball from Tom Wright. And Australia have had an impressive turnaround towards the end of this year. Glad to see them back. And good works the Aussie, says Blues Nate. Kick downfield now, chance in the middle of the park for Ireland. Inside ball to Matt Canson, who's running straight sideways. In fact, he was almost running backwards with that sideways venture. But the ball's there for Jameson Gibson Park, who goes across to the right-hand side. Now popped in behind Sam Prendergast. Big shot coming in from Suali'i. Not sure if he wrapped his arms. That is still an NRL shot, if I've ever seen one. Now James Lowe rushed defence there from Noah Lalicio. Shuts it down. Great work from Australia to push Ireland backwards. Something that not many sides are really able to do. And Ireland going to be walloped in the Six Nations, says Kieran. Two different marsupials, says Nicholas there. And we have got there, cheers for the good commentary. Says David, thank you very much for being here. We are, of course, going to be back with the Champions Cup in the sevens next week, as well as more sevens this weekend. Tomorrow is when that is going to be taking place. Big shot coming in on James Ryan. Australia doing well with their discipline, not being offside. Oh, it's going to be an up and under from Ireland. The exact same tactic that Australia scored off in the first half, and that time it's knocked on by Hugo Keenan, or at least I thought it was. Looks like it's going to be play on, though, for Ireland, and they will be only 15 metres out from the line now. Bounce pass goes to Ryan's. The compatibility just doesn't seem to be there for Ireland today. Loose ball, Gibson Park milks the penalty, passes it into the Australian player who was offside. We have got there. I want to see the All Blacks to become number 1 in 2025. Says Manium, and I sit Joseph. Says Blues Nate. Now Ireland have decided to kick for the corner here. Gone a little bit more aggressive. No, I think Keenan may have just regathered it in time before it became a knock-on. No, that is a knock-on because Tom Wright actually touched it. So it would have been a knock-on against Keenan. But now Ireland have got themselves a penalty after that, and they are now 5 metres from the line with a great rolling maul chance. Now Ronan Kelleher. Very important throw for the overall outcome of this game. Gibson Park goes across there. Ireland on hot attack, 2 metres out from the line and dragged down once more. Skip pass and Doris scores the try between the sticks for the Irish. And that will now give them the lead. We have got there, Caelan Doris is overrated, says Leon. Well, he's just scored the try, the Irish skipper. 49 minutes into this game, that will give them the lead. Let me just say there is no one that commentates rugby like Hamish does. Listening to Sharks vs Stormer stream, and I miss our Kiwi lad. Can you clone yourself, please, Hamish? Says Lilia B. It would be very handy if I could do multiple streams at once, because honestly, we would have done the sevens game that took place between Fiji and New Zealand. We would have also slept building into this stream, and then we would have been able to do a couple more streams, including the overlap of the URC and international rugby. But this one, it's certainly going to be a thriller with the last 10 or so minutes fast approaching. We've still got 30 to go, though. And Prendergast kicks that one over to make the score now 15 points to 13. And Petty bouncing back, says Blues Nate. And come on, Ireland, says Shay there as well. Ireland, says Mr. Marmite. But a nice bit of grounding there from Caelan Doris. And Ireland just aren't as polished. This game, that's all, says Ronnie. Yeah, they've still had some pretty decent moments in this game. It's just been every once in a while when they've tried to use that back line, there's been a missed pass or a one that's gone behind and it's just killed the momentum of the move. Doris overrated, unless he's in South Africa beating the Box or winning Test Tour of New Zealand. And Hug from Portugal says, La there, thank you very much for being here. We have there, I like his energy, stay blessed, says Steve there. And I think Cam Roygar's style was similar to TJ Perenata's, his try scoring number 9s for the Hurricanes. Oh, turnover there for the Australians. We'll come back to that in a short moment. But Rob Valentini, now big bundling run towards Sam Prendergast. He's a little bit slow getting back up to his feet, but he is all right to continue. Oh, the ref's got in the way of that ball. And there's going to be a knock on there from Valentini. Gordon's not happy. He's saying the only reason that Ireland were there is because you got in the way of the pass. And it's going to be now... Okay, no, it is going to be a scrum feed to Australia My brother's TMO is useless. That was a knock-on, says Robert T. And set-piece power, says Anthony. And I'm sticking with my 30 points to 24 score prediction. And get in, different beast second half, like I said, says Davey Joyce. What are your expectations of the ABs in 2025? Hopefully more squad rotation. That would be great, seeing as we didn't see a huge amount of it throughout 2024, but a couple of players retiring as well. So far, Ronan Kelleher, he's had 3 carries, 15 metres made, 9 tackles made, 2 tackle breaks and an offload. So a busy day at the office for that man. Maybe not as many running metres as we're used to seeing for Ronan Kelleher, but still pretty active out there on the park. I'm back, says Daniel. He's back, says Mr. Marmot. And also, scrums are back. We saw a lot of them early on in the last game, or in the last half, I should say. All Blacks unbeaten in 2025, says Doctor. But now Ireland, it looks like they're about to empty the bench. Henderson, Peter O'Mahony, a lot of experience between those two. It looks like Tom O'Toole is also warming up, getting ready to make his way onto the field as well. And Sharks 21, Stormers 8, try by Esterhuizen, says Robert. Please Australia see the game through, says Boy 10. I'm glad Sam Cane has gone. He was not a good captain, says Manny M. But 29 minutes left. The clock is still on, and this is using up a lot of valuable time for these two sides. Yes, more motivation. An 18th. And to show it got guts. And come on, lads, South Africa is rooting for you. Humble those Irish, says Boy 10. And Joe Schmidt put Taney Edmed on North Harbour's greats. Now Gordon. Ready to feed the ball in. Piardi, the ref, telling both sides to keep up, and both sides have collapsed at the scrum. But now off to the right-hand side, flat ball to Joseph Suaalii for what I think is his first carry that I can remember throughout this game. Maybe he's had 1 or 2 elsewhere, but honestly, we haven't seen a huge amount of that. Ball has popped out on the side of the Irish. Were there some hands in that breakdown? It's going to be play on, though. And they've got the clean turnover. Says Piardi, trying to break through with Joe McCarthy. 25 metres out from the line, depends on the size of the tent. Says Aaron there. For would a cow fit in a tent? I think so. If you have a big enough tent, maybe not one of those triangle ones. Going to be kicked high, up and under, both sides letting the ball bounce, which is always a dangerous game. But Harry Wilson goes up like he's in the AFL. Counter ruck coming from Bundy Archie, and the ball has popped onto the side of the Irish yet again. And the penalty, though, goes the way of Australia. Andrew Callaway getting locked over the ball, wasn't letting it go anywhere. Walter Little and Frank Bunce, North Harbour greats, says Doctor there. I don't know, but I bet Cal couldn't put a tent up with it when shrooming, says Fluffy. But yeah, the counter ruck from Bundy Archie worked well, and then after that, Callaway takes it straight back. Kicking this one towards the touchline is Noah Lalicio. This game's going to be close. Hardy is not an 8. He's a natural 7. I feel like he's out of position, says Harlem. And yeah, it's been very heavily debated if the official man, says Beetle. And Hamish, Sharks eating the Stormers. Yeah, great start to the game for the Sharks. Definitely because, like I said, the New Zealand odds had them as $4 underdogs, which I couldn't quite believe with the amount of talent in that Sharks team. But yeah, they really backed the Stormers to get over the line, but it just doesn't look like that is going to happen if the officials, says Beetle again. Now going to the front of the line out. Sitting here 15 metres out from the line. Jake Gordon goes across to Isaac Kailea. Change that has been made for the Wallabies. Australia can still win. Come on, Australia. Now counter ruck. Attempted there from Peter O'Mahony. Can't quite get through. So Ali'i joining the breakdown and getting driven over by the Irish. But there is the penalty to Australia. Oh, okay, this is where I believe the best thing to do is to take the 3. You're right out in front of the sticks. You'll get a 1-point lead up against this Irish team who you're rooting for. And why, says Robert? Honestly, I haven't really picked a side in this one. Both sides, you know, it's heavily beneficial for them to win this game. Australia, it would be a great closeout to the November internationals. And then, I mean, for the Irish, just to get that momentum at the end, heading into the Six Nations, which is only a few months away. With respect to Australia, the team has improved by leaps and bounds recently. And we have there, Hamish, sport. Or what sport are you going to cover? No, that now that there's no more rugby matches, there are plenty more rugby matches. We've got 2 weekends of the Champions Cup that is coming up. Then the URC the weekend after that. Next weekend is the Cape Town Sevens. Tomorrow we've got the Dubai Sevens that we're covering. And then, before we know it, it will be Six Nations and Super Rugby time. So there's a lot of rugby still on. It just depends on what competitions you do like to watch. It will depend on whether or not we'll see you popping in. But that kick has gone over. Gary Ringrose now making his way onto the field for Bundy Arkey. So, okay, that was... I don't know whether, he emptied the tank, like I said, but at halftime, I said that if I was coach, I would talk to Bundy Arkey, give him 15 minutes to go all out, and then replace him with Ringrose. And they pretty much made that sub 15 minutes almost on the dot. There is URC rugby game on right now at the same time as this game. There certainly is Sharks versus Stormers. It is a shame that we couldn't cover both games on the channel, but yeah, I wasn't able to find a replacement for that other game or for this game so that I could do the other one. Swap channels. Says Beetle there. Said you never covered the Sevens yesterday. Hammy says Spider-Mick. Yeah, I was out and about. And then also near the end of the day, I did have to try and sleep, seeing as I will be out for all of today as well. But I will be covering the Sevens tomorrow. But being on holiday does make it a little bit more difficult to find time to stream. But luckily, I mean, we were able to do this one at 4 a.m. I feel like that's quite good. Love URC across Christmas. Always some great games, says Jimbo. The series is a good wake-up call for the Irish. And All Blacks bench name is the Manu Bomb Squad, says Blues Note. And Paddy Power sucks, says Beetle. And 24 minutes remaining in this contest, 16 points to 15 in favour of Australia. Ireland have got the possession. Matt Hansen goes across there. Can Ringrose bring a little bit more stability to this backline? Hamish next door, not going on holiday, says Mr. Marmite. Now, nice pass from Matt Hansen. Or, in fact, no, sorry, it was Hugo Keenan. Now, James Lowe passing it across nicely. Now, Gibson Park goes across to Sam Prendergast. That's going to be a good shot coming in from Tyke Byrne. Jameson Gibson Park. Going left-hand side again. Ringrose almost straight through. But he's been tackled well by, I think that was actually the replacement 18 who's managed to put in the hit there. We've seen quite a few injuries for the Aussies the last little while. I don't know what that was from Isaac Kailea. He was trying to go for a counter ruck, but I think his legs were being held on to, so he was just kind of doing a bit of a weird jolt towards the opposition. Irish, please give us a quick update on the Sharks Stormers game. The last I saw, the Stormers were up by, I think it was about 15 points, about 24 points to 8 or somewhere around there. So, yeah, pretty good start to the match for the Sharks. Last try coming for Andre Esterhuizen. Going out wide, James Lowe. With another step there. But that game will be getting very close to its end, I believe. Sharks 21, sorry, rather than 24, 21-8. 50 metres out. And back into the pocket. Looks like a little chip attempted across field and beautifully done. Goes straight to Hansen, who put the inside ball relatively close to forward. And let's play on again. Now Omani goes across to Sam Prendergast. Passes to Hansen. Good attack and run from Doris. Almost got through that first line of defence. Gibson Park cross to Hansen. Now Henshaw. Australia defending a lot better in this game than they did last match. Up against the Scottish. Loose ball there and kicked forward by Fraser McWright. Went for the dive on the ball. He's almost tackled Caelan Doris while he's in the process of getting that ball. To 58 minutes now. Any ideas as to why Rassie did not get the nod as coach of the year, says Gary Smith? Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. Like, we saw Jacques Nenebar not get it for the year that he had with the South Africans when they won the World Cup. So I think that, it just depends on your selection panel, really. That's about all it comes down to. The ones who are selecting it. Like, I still think, though, if you're going to have a Sevens Player of the Year and a Union Player of the Year, you should 100% have a Sevens Coach of the Year and a Union Coach of the Year as well. But then I guess that really limits the amount of coaches for the seven side of things. But then it would have completely avoided this situation taking place. Because don't get me wrong, like France, with where they were, new coach coming in, get themselves the series as well as the Olympic title. Like, that's a big deal. But Rassi this year has also been absolutely outstanding. So I feel like having two categories would have made it much easier. And 21 for the Sharks, 8 to the Stormers. Said Lilia. And we have got their Stormers suffer from a chronic butterfingers disease, says Stefan. And keep up the defence, Oz, says Robert T. And we're seeing a few more changes being made. Lucan Salakai Lotto making his way onto the field for the Australians. Andy Farrell still looks pretty level-headed at the moment in that commentary box. Need Crowley in, says Jimbo. Alicio should have kicked for the chase. Now gives him Park with a bounce pass. In fact, about the 3 bounce pass going out to the Irish midfield. Once again, that chemistry of the Irish backline just doesn't really look like it's there today. Like, the forwards have had some really good crashing runs all throughout this contest. Sam Prendergast, now going to be putting this one downfield into the 22, and the mark is called by Tom Wright. And Stormers already won the URC, actually the first, so we're building towards our second URC title. Says Blues name. Tom Wright, after calling the mark, does send it way downfield. Ireland taking it nicely just outside of their 22. Running on to this one was Prendergast, who kicks it high. Keenan chasing after this one hard. Big shot coming in on Alessio, and the mark is called. Tell you what, I don't know if he was inside when he touched that ball initially. I believe he landed in the 22. I'm going to see a replay here. Where was he at the time that he caught this ball? Ooh, tell you what, it was close, but he's done very well. I believe the grounding of the foot was inside as he was using the momentum going a little bit backwards. I hope the Crusaders have a better season in 2025, says Manny M. Needs Six Nations. Simon Easterby will be the Irish head coach, or next Six Nations, sorry. While Farrell coaches the Lions, says Aaron. Now it looks like Tate McDermott. He has made his way onto the field as well. Good contest at line-out time. Rush defence from Australia. Valentini makes the tackle on Doris, or he tried to, and then did slip off, but Mick Wright gets the turnover and the breakdown. I mentioned about it earlier on. He's known for it, for the Reds, getting over that ball and managing to get that important penalty. 61 minutes through, though, in this game. We're getting closer to those final moments. I wanted it to be within 10 points, or in fact, I wanted it to be within 5 in the closing moments. Australia will call for the shot here. Total penalties against both these sides, 8 and 8. So pretty close in that regard. The team now being run onto the field for Noah Lalicio. He has a full minute to be able to line it up, which will use up a little bit more of the remaining time. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, we have got the sevens tomorrow as well, I should mention. So if you are new to the channel, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It is greatly appreciated you all being here for this contest. And like I said, we've got much more coming in the near future, including next week. The Champions Cup will be taking place. It's going to be an awesome one, and I highly recommend sticking around for that one. But Noah Lalicio will be in charge of taking this kick, like I mentioned. We have got there, I don't want to hear any more excuses from Razor in 2025, says Manny M. Rassi will thrive on being snubbed for Coach of the Year. The kick has gone over from the Aussies as well, I should mention, for Noel Lalicio. They're making the score 19 points to 15 now. He doesn't need it, but he definitely deserves it, says Lilia B. But yeah, I think World Rugby, the easy switch, like I said, is just have a Sevens Coach of the Year and a Union Coach of the Year. Just like they do for the players, and then that wouldn't have happened. But then there's no guarantee that they would have given it to Rassi. Like, it's interesting. There seems to be some sort of vendetta there or something against giving it to him. Now kick downfield, Ireland on attack. Sam Prendergast inside ball. Poor choice, I think. It just didn't really find the hands that he was after, but Porter has managed to regather and get that ball back in his hands. Now back across to the right-hand side. Big shot coming in on Joe McCarthy. Gibson Park. Good ball to Keenan, who goes across to Ian Henderson, one of the many experienced heads on this Irish 15 now. Now across to the left-hand side, little grubber attempted in behind. It's a decent kick. McDermott was a little bit uncomfortable with it, almost breaking James Lowe's ankles, but he manages to make the tackle. And now Ireland looking for a little bit of a counter-ruck. Pressure is on. Harry Wilson goes across to Alan Alalatoa. Now, being told to use it here, take McDermott. How much time left, please? Currently, we have got 16 minutes remaining. Argentina coach would have won it, says Jimbo. And South Africa will be unstoppable for the next couple of years, says Albert. What kind of beaver exposes themselves in the snow, says Endo. I have no idea what that is referencing. Australia odds are $1.83, while Ireland odds are at 2. Yeah, so they are currently favourites. And there's one of you doing the Edinburgh game today, please, says Lewis. Sadly not. This is our only game up until the Sevens, taking place tonight, New Zealand time, tomorrow morning, for you guys in South Africa and Ireland. But that is just because we are currently on holiday and we do have to leave in about an hour's time, so we won't be able to cover that game, sadly. Excellent coach, though, says Aaron, but hopefully I'll be able to keep an eye on it just while I'm out and about, having a sneaky look at the phone every once in a while and see what's happening in those games. McDermott goes across there to the right-hand side. Another attack and run from Isaac Kailea. Made his way onto the bench as the replacement. Lucia Prop kicked high from Lalicio. A huge amount of distance on it, and the Callaway knock-on gives Ireland possession. And that knock-on advantage, like I mentioned, Hugo Keenan now sending it straight down the middle of the field. I have to say, I don't think either of these sides have really won the kicking battle. It's been very even in that regard in terms of both ways. No one really getting that big advantage, but now Jack Crowley will make his way onto the field. That is for Sam Prendergast. What kind of impact can he bring in the final minutes? Also, Craig Casey on for Jamison Gibson Park. A big change there for Ireland in that number 9 jersey. Both teams are easy to cheer against, says Leon. And this is getting down to the wire. It certainly is only 4 points difference at the moment between these two teams. Joe Schmidt would win medal today if he was French, says Anthony. Australia are the favourites now. Nice, says Martin in. Loose ball and Tate McDermott cleans up for Australia, but there was the knock-on in the process. We're going to get to see yet again another scrum here. Be close. This one is definitely going to be one of those games that from here on, any little error could be the difference maker. The clock stops, says Gary Smith. The clock's actually still going while they're making subs, so I assume that it should be off at the moment. But here comes Cian Healy, most capped Irish player of all time now. I am clapping. Oh, yeah, you can't see my hands. It's all right. I was just worried you'd hear the noise and wasn't sure what I was up to, but currently the 4 points difference. His work in the scrums could be massive here for Ireland because they've already had what I believe is the advantage in the in the scrums throughout this one. We have the Holy F. My cash out is at $32, says Martin. And we have got the Australia needs another try or 2, please, says Doctor. And good man, Amish, says John. And nice one, Oz, says Aaron there too. Going back across to the right-hand side. Now charging forward here for the Irish. Beautiful backline movement, but great tackle made in the midfield by Max Jorgensen. Now here comes Ringrose. Can certainly cut a game open when he's on form and certainly needs to be for today. 13 minutes left. Craig Casey tries a little short side chip. It stayed in the field of play, nicely taken by Hansen. Just throwing something different at Australia and somehow managing to keep the ball alive. Here comes Craig Casey. Thought about the offload but decides against it. Crowley goes across to Tyg Byrne now. All work in the breakdown from Fraser McWright, and he's got another one of his crucial turnovers. Trying to kick that one downfield was Jorgensen. There are 3 players down currently, and that kick is going to be deflected into touch by Ireland, which gives Australia the line-out throw. I want a man as Healy, says Barry there. He certainly worked hard for Ireland for an extremely long time. Hansen's foot was on the line, which is why that is a line out as well, I should mention. I think there's probably a metre between where they were and where the actual line out is, but time is now off. Still 12 minutes left in this game, ladies and gentlemen. Currently, as we speak, there is a game taking place in the sevens, I believe, between South Africa and France. Surprised at the mediocre Irish performance. They could do no wrong a year ago, says Stefan. And Australia needs to try now, says GC. Yeah, if Australia scored now, this game, I believe, is won by the Wallabies. But there is also a chance that if Ireland score now, if they can get that position, if they can score, they're right back in this game as well. Place $20 on the 3.5 plus for Australia. Let's go. Says Martin. And all that's exposed how one-dimensional Ireland are. Australia's showing it. Says Sports Unfiltered and Kangaroos Rule. Says a tour there. You'll make a beaver fluffy. And also, come on, need to try breathing space. Thank you, so glad you're covering this. I pretty much just made that up, but so glad this commentary, says Robert. It means more than you can imagine. Well, I am glad to cover these games on the channel. And like I said, we're going to be back for the sevens tomorrow. And then also alongside that, we're going to be covering a lot more on the channel next week for the Champions Cup in terms of rugby union and whatnot. Going to be a lot more active than this weekend. It's only because we're away on holiday that we aren't doing as much. And of course, this is where Mr. Marmite says it's not a holiday, but because we are away from our normal residence, that's why we're covering a little bit less. Oh, a big shot on Tate McDermott by Tyke Byrne. He tried to time it, and I think he's crunched him. Although he's actually the first one to get up. Tyke Byrne staying down longer than McDermott in that one. Ireland don't have any actual rugby players, just a bunch of robots. Same attack over and over. Australia figured it out. Says Sports Unfiltered, but that is where someone like a Craig Casey, you know, we saw that kick across the field. 134 caps and no World Cup. Typical Irish chokers. Says Rustlin. I mean, a lot of great players have brought up that 100 caps, though, and haven't touched a World Cup, to be fair, like across the board, in terms of different nations. But now, ball's going to be there again. Craig Casey goes back across to the left-hand side. Nicely done again. Casey goes across to Mac Anson, who's a long way off his wing. Ireland going to the next World Cup with old players, says Justin. And all good teams fail. No team can engineer a constant winning mentality, says Aaron. Oh, inside ball from Crowley. Goes off to Peter O'Mahony, who was crunched down by Lucan Salakai-Lotto. It was not going easy on the Irish veteran. Turnover chance here for Australia, although they're told to release, and they've given away the penalty advantage. Now in behind, little grubber attempted. It goes out, and they'll come back for the penalty again. Ireland coaching need to fly to Auckland immediately to find some new players. This Sports Unfiltered. Our Lions, here come Kitty Cats, says Ator. He's island shaming now, says Mr. Marmite. Right, they've got a late charge over there, or they're not rolling away. So I think they're taking the one that is closer to the touchline so that they can kick it towards the sideline and get themselves that line out. Wallabies playing the time machine, says Anthony. And they played a very strong game of rugby here, other than, you know, a little bit of discipline here and there and a couple handling errors. This is probably one of the better Aussie performances we have seen in recent time. There is no such time to play here. I don't rule the Irish out. Oh, sorry, still so much time from Paddock to Paris, as said. Yep, exactly right. And the Irish are now only going to be about 7 metres out from the try line. So, going to be a big chance. I've just seen there that on the big screen they put roar up to remind the crowd to cheer for the rolling maul. And tell you what, it might have just worked. No, it's held up. And that's nicely done by Callaway. I think there was Matty Faisler as well, getting in there. Fraser McWright all tying up the ball and stopping the Irish 16 from scoring. Australia got no territory. Says Robert T. Is this one of the best Australian performances in a long time? Good for them. I think so. Like, yes, they've still had their fair share of errors, but defensively, I think this is their best game that we've seen. Because, I mean, with the exception of a couple little errors here and there, like, this, you know, they're going all right. And Amani got smashed, the typical thug. He wasn't happy. Says Rustlin. Now going back across to the right-hand side here for Ireland in the central area of the field. 71 minutes in now. Craig Casey going back into the pocket. Nice run forward from Jimmy O'Brien. Still 9 minutes. It's a long time in a game of rugby. The first 9 minutes, we saw about 5 scrums in this game. Not quite. It was like 3 or 4. If you count the resets, it was 5, though. Now Crowley goes across to Henderson. Another big shot from Ikitau. Who's going to be the player who really steps up in the final moments for these two teams? 22 metres from the line now for the Irish. Quickly recycle, trying the grubber. Chasing this one is James Lowe and Tom Wright. No option but to run the ball out. 5 metres out from the try line and another line out here for Ireland. And Ireland reached their ceiling with the 17-match winning streak. They're now becoming predictable, says Peter Adams. A nice Aussie, says Robert T. A very good day for all your peeps. Says a toy. Commentary is legendary. I found it during the World Cup. Watched every Irish game on your channel. Absolutely excellent, mate. Says Panic to Paris. Thank you very much. And of course, we are going to be covering the Six Nations on the. Hang on, what's this? TMO? Is it? We go on TMO? It's a critical moment. I can't do an Italian accent. But that is pretty much what Piardi said. It's a critical moment in the game, so we're going to be checking it. What is it, though, that we are checking? So, Tom Wright, yeah, he does run it out. Or does he? It depends on... So, the foot touching the line is considered... Yeah, no, he's run that one out. So, it is the green line out. Ireland, 5 metres from the line. We're on the map as Australia. Pretty much it is... southeast, so kind of down the bottom of Asia, and also, yeah, bottom right type area. Oh, advantage again to Ireland for a collapse. How can it be a collapse, though, when they're still rolling forward? That's going to be the penalty, the try for Ireland. I think it's Gus McCarthy, is it? The number 16, who has managed to score in Ireland now, taking the lead with 8 minutes to go. And Sharks 21, Stormers 15, penalty try, says Robert. So a little bit of a late comeback coming from the Stormers. Is that game over, though, at the moment, Robert, or is it still going? Now 8 minutes remaining here, and Ireland have got over the try line in a very important moment. And the Teagle All Blacks, there's a Fluffy there. They are just showing that rolling maul again. Good body position, staying at the back of it. Jack Crowley now. Important kick here, because if this goes over, it pretty much says to Australia, you either need to get a 3 to take a draw, or you got to go for the try, and that kick has gone over from Ireland. Now 22 points to 19. Told you it's too early, guys. Ireland back in it. It's a show. And Gus, you beauty, says Barry there. And time can slow down now. And come on, Australia, please, says GC. But yeah, big moment for the youngster, Gus McCarthy. He only made his debut last week, and now he's coming off the bench in one of the most important games for Ireland of 2024. After deep and thorough thought and analysis, I reckon Ireland will win, says Neil. Now the ball is there for Ireland, picked up by Peter O'Mahony. 6 minutes left on the clock now. And brown envelope, says Beetle, my bad. When it pops up my TV to go as loud, says Robert V. Being told not to play Craig Casey. Now, this is very similar to what we saw between Argentina and Ireland. In fact, I think it's the exact same score that we saw in that game. But the big thing, oh no, it was a little bit different. Was it? No, maybe not. Oh, stolen back. But a knock on from Ireland gives the ball to the Australians. But yeah, it's going to be very intriguing, because the last 6 minutes, I think we're going to see Ireland go a little bit more defensive, but I don't know if you can afford to do that up against Australia, who have had quite a bit of success when attacking throughout this game. So I'm very curious to know how that one's going to go, that is for sure. But, you know, hopefully it could be very intriguing to see whether or not the defensive tactic will work in the favour of the Irish, or whether that is when maybe, you know, they could concede late. We've seen Australia do it before. That's all I'm going to say. They were able to do it up against the English in their first game. But now going for the scrum here. And the ball has come out. McDermott goes off to the left-hand side, and backline movement looks like it's the way to go for the Wallabies. Joseph Soili runs hard and high. They have to release him and roll away in the breakdown. The start of the season, Gus was 5th choice at Leinster. Some rise for the lad, says Barry Power. And it's just about taking your opportunities. And that's exactly what Gus has done. Now getting to score what could be the match winner for the Irish here. Checking the Stormers dry at the moment, says Lilia B. Now passing it back across Langy Gleeson onto the field for Australia. 4 minutes left in this game. Going down to the wire. That's the knock on from Tom Wright. That the Irish were hoping for. And he's disappointed, Tom Wright. Looks like he might have a broken nose or something. A lot of blood coming from it at the moment. And that great thanks, commentary was good. Thanks, Robert, for the Sharks update. See you guys again. Cheers. Says Nico. Thank you very much for being here, mate. And no try knock on, says Lily B. Would that try have won them the game, Lilia, if they had got that? Sharks 21-20 at full time. What a game between those two sides. We will certainly have to give that one a look after this one. Well, of course, later on in the day. But currently 3.5 minutes left in this game, ladies and gents. Anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're going to be back next week for the Champions Cup. We'll get to see Leinster. We'll get to see the Bulls, the Sharks, the Stormers, Munster, all in action. Now Craig Casey feeds the ball in. Big push from the Aussie forward pack. They can't get the possession. Now Ireland, if they score now, they win this game. Crowley, though, kicks it downfield and he has booted it out on the full, which now gives another chance for the Wallabies around the halfway line. Australia have to understand they can't play England every week. Oh, looks like Tane Edmund might have taken a bit of a shot there. In fact, it looks like he's got to go off for an HIA by the looks of their medics. He kind of went like that, which normally means you're going to get taken off. He's only been on the field for a matter of seconds, I thought. And damn bad luck the Stormers. Oh, he got injured in a tackle. Oh, yeah, no, that's not good. He whipped his head back. And he will have to go from the field. There is no way that he can continue in this game. He's going seriously, guys, but now he's holding his head. So, you know, it's the right decision to take him off. But it now means the man who's played a majority of this game in that 10 jersey, Noel Alessio, will now have to make his way back out onto the field for the final moments. And possibly one of those most important moments could be off the kicking tee. 17 points in the second half. Ireland should have scored more in the first, says Ronnie. And that lad is Ginger, ain't he? He is indeed. HAE. And looks drunk, says Jimbo. And now the line out for the Australians. Still 3 minutes on the clock. This one going to be a last-minute thriller in November. And that throw wasn't the straightest thing I've ever seen. But the Australians are still in possession. Suaalii pops it straight back into the hands of Ireland. I think that's the first offload he's attempted of the day, and it went down the Irish throat. 3 minutes left. Casey going across to the left-hand side. Thought about the inside ball there for Ireland, but deciding instead to hang on to it. Craig Casey again. Back to the right there, 40 metres out from the line. A try here would win this game for Ireland. A try for the Australians, if they were able to replicate what they did up against England, would also get them the win here. That sounds epic here by the stadium. Hamish, I hope you appreciate my outside of stadium feedback. Says, a cool story, bro. Now, nice pass on the outside to Josh van den Flair. 2 minutes left. The last thing Australia can afford is to give away a penalty. Definitely if Ireland decide that they want to go for an attack, that's another knock on this time coming from the men in green. And Australia have the scrum. And their last scrum looked pretty dominant. They were able to push the Irish backwards, even though Ireland had the scrum feed. So perhaps that is the goal here for the Wallabies. Force the Irish into a little bit of unfamiliar territory and have them going backwards at scrum time and get the penalty that way. It's going to be a tough one, though. Final moments are sneaking up very closely. We're down to the final 90 seconds. And Chloe is here as well. Welcome in, Chloe. Hope you are keeping well. We've got another sub being made. Max Jorgensen, is it? No, it's Callaway goes off. Harry Potter comes on. Can he ever... I was going to make another wizard joke, but I will not. Unless he scores, then we're certainly bringing out like 5. But that's an interesting switch. When you got 90 seconds left, bringing on a guy who's only had 1 cap. And that was last week, but he did score a try. So they'll be hoping he can do it again. But Callaway's normally pretty solid on defence. which is an interesting one. So I feel like Australia pretty much said, for us to win, we've got to score. We can't worry about trying to make the tackles once Ireland have the ball. That's a big push at scrum time, and it could be the penalty. No, scrum reset, too much movement. Colin from Durban, Ireland, says quantum there. And Hamish, good you by your auntie, says Chloe there. And thanks, brother. Great commentary from Colin in Dublin, says Quantum there as well. And it is greatly appreciated you being here. Of course, we've got the Sevens tomorrow and then the Champions Cup the week after. We will be back at our home rather than this one. But now 80 seconds left. The clock was turned off before, ladies and gents. Great commentary, Hamish. Many thanks, says John. This one's close. Neither of these sides have a brilliant chance of being able to walk away with a victory here, but for the Irish, the scrum could be the most important of the game. Now it's going to be fed in. Little bit of a wheeling scrum there. It's popped out the back, and I think Australia, Piarri almost gave the penalty, and now he does. Hands in the breakdown from Josh Van den Flair. He was warned. The referee said, don't go in there, and Van den Flair still tried his luck to see if he could get that crucial turnover. Lalicio kicks it into touch, and on the halfway line or so is where the Australians will set their line out. 45 seconds left in this game now, ladies and gentlemen. Craig Casey almost going for the German suplex there. The belly to back. But now, Matt Faisler ready to throw this one in. Ireland do not contest at line-out time. Keeping as many feet on the ground as they can. Running straight was Lena Cattell. 20 seconds left now. A knock on here for Australia will be the end of the game. But how good is their handling? It's been pretty good throughout the rest of the match. Tom Wright going to be held up near the halfway line, although now gets himself to ground. So they do have to release him. 6 seconds left of regular time. Ireland looking for the turnover. Still on the side of the Wallabies. Joseph Suaalii tackled a little bit high from Doris, but he did duck his head. Now 45 metres from their own line. There's a knock on from Australia, and Ireland win this game 22 points to 19. A last-minute thriller, exactly what we were hoping for to close out the November internationals. But boy, was this game tight, and it could have gone easily either way. But Ireland, 5 points in that first half. Australia only scoring 7 in the second. But Ireland got themselves to 17, which made all the difference. The try from Doris, the try from Gus McCarthy, the youngster, and they close out their November on a high, 22 points to 19. And says Robert there, and game set a match, says Barry, and well, says Daniel in the chat also. Well done to both teams. Yeah, both sides, I mean, Ireland had to dig deep, but they managed to get the job done. Australia, this was, I felt, their best defensive effort throughout November, but just not quite able to hold off for long enough and couldn't get that important try like they did late up against the English. So it's one of those ones, those type of moments can make or break a side. Hopefully this does continue in the making of this Wallabies side under the Joe Schmidt era. But yeah, overall, a great way to end the November International. Played badly, but won. That's the main thing. And honestly, that has been the summary of quite a few matches throughout November. You know, you look at New Zealand versus Italy. You look at, you know, Australia when they were able to beat England. At times, their defence was nowhere to be seen, but they still won in that contest. And, I mean, that's the main thing, you know, being able to hang on in the games that are so important and the matches that, you know, you just need a little bit of luck. You need a bit of determination, and both of these sides honestly could have got it today. Great commentary once again. Hamish says, Waikato, and thanks a lot for your great commentary. And way to go, Ireland. Thanks, Hamish, says Jesse. So, of course, not just the international rugby. It has now come to a close, but we've still got the rugby next week that is taking place for the Champions Cup, as well as the Sevens, which I believe will pretty much be confirmed now. So just bear with me, ladies and gents. Just for now, I think Australia have beaten the Kenyans. France versus South Africa is going to extra time. It's currently 19-19 between those two teams, so a little bit of a late thriller there. But as soon as we know who wins those games, I can let you know exactly what is going to happen in terms of like our commentary for later on in the day. So hopefully we aren't too far off being able to see what happens there. My carnage in 5 hours. Surprisingly, this game was closer than I thought it would be. And good result for the Wallabies side for now. And also TMO and sideline refs went for 80 minutes. And lol says Mr. Marmite and there as well. But while we are at it, like I said, we might as well check and see what's happening in that other game for the sevens. France versus South Africa. Sounds like it's going to be a bit of a down to the wire type of fixture between them. And good result for the Wallaby side for now. And also lots, says Robert there too. Right, we'll go here. Whereabouts is it? We will find, hopefully, the channel that is showing the sevens. Do they have the sevens? Surely they do. Apparently the men's A-League is taking place at the moment. Where is the sevens? Okay, maybe we won't be watching it. We will just be keeping an eye on the scoreboard by the looks of it, seeing as they aren't showing it here in New Zealand. That's a bit of a concern, or at least it must be somewhere that we can watch it. And Dunky Hamish says, Robert, no worries at all. Still winning while being undercooked is okay for Ireland in November. Says Fionn, yeah, like Ireland certainly haven't found their best strides throughout November, but you know, you're in one of those scenarios that if you're still getting wins and you're learning something, you know, a lot of new names getting the chance in that game up against the Fijians, which was great to see. And they got to look towards that next Six Nations and work out how they can really allow those top guys to get minutes, but then also to give those young guys opportunities, because we've seen with Gus McCarthy, his last minute try was the difference maker. And this one, are you doing South Africa's match? We will be doing the next South African match. I see already today they lost to Kenya, and they also got themselves a good win over the Australians 17-0. Currently in the match up against the French, I think Christy Robillard scored in the final moment of the game to make it 19-19. But since then, I haven't seen another score update just for now. So I'll keep an eye out, see what happens in terms of, I think they almost need to win that one to be able to get through to the quarterfinals. And that's why I beat you every night, says Doctor. And we have got the how the AB Sevens getting on. They actually lost to Spain again. That's the side that seemed to be New Zealand's bogey team at the moment. But yeah, currently still 19-19 between France and South Africa. So we will let you know exactly what happens at the end of that game, just so that you know which games we got later on. Did Suaalii play well? Honestly, didn't really do much throughout this game. He hardly got the ball. I think he only ran it once that I counted, maybe twice. Maybe I was a bit harsh, but he also did give up the ball only a couple minutes left, chucked it straight back to the Irish, trying to go for a risky offload. So, like, honestly, I would say, like, compared to that first game where we saw Suaalii, it was definitely a lot more quiet and not a lot that happened. But he still did not too bad, I would say. Keeping Suaalii quiet was all Ireland got right, says Jimbo. I was listening to the guys, and Cadbury Chocolate, says Chloe, and Kian Healy and Dan Cole, two buddy legends, says Blues Nate. Right, sounds like France are clearing the lines and going for the line out here. And they won a hard-fought win, well-deserved. Ireland, or well done, Ireland, says Klaus Squid. Yeah, and like I said, to close out the November internationals for Ireland, with the way that it started, you know, 10-point defeat up against New Zealand, they narrowly got past Argentina in what was a very close game. We saw them beat Fiji comfortably. Fiji never really got going throughout that game. And then also alongside that, we got to see this game, which was close again, 22 points to 19, but the actual same scoreline as we saw between Ireland and Argentina. So, you know, 4 out of the games played, 3 of them wins. Like, I think Andy Farrell would take that. Maybe not so much how they won at times in terms of how convincing it was, but still, you know, you'd take it. Australia, they got 2 wins, their first 2, and then lost the last 2 games. I don't think they'll be, of course, they'll be disappointed that they lose this game, but I don't think they did a huge amount wrong throughout this match. They were clinical at times. Their defence, I think, was the best that we've seen throughout November in these games. You know, they were strong at times up against the English, but at the same time, you can't concede 37 points with a few defensive errors. We have got their fair play to Joe Schmidt. He has really worked wonders with Australia. What a turnaround for them. Says Fionn. And solid win for Spain. And Kenya playing solid at the moment. Yeah, Kenya look exactly where they should be, which is on that 7th circuit. Because, I was very disappointed when they were one of the teams that got themselves pretty much demoted out of the top. I think South Africa's still on halfway looking for another try. It's taken a while. Who was your man of the match? For me, I would say, Doris had a pretty solid performance. Prendergast wasn't too bad at times. Right, Blitzboks have just won, ladies and gentlemen, in the 7s. They managed to score an extra time to take out the win up against the French to make the score 24 points to 19. So the Blitzboks will confirm their spot through to the quarterfinals. So just quickly looking at the tables and what that does, they qualify first. France will be second in that group. And then New Zealand are actually third in their group at the moment after losing 2. 3 points. They will still go through alongside Kenya. Australia miss out. Wait, no. Australia still have to play Kenya. Never mind. Australia could go through instead. And then that would actually mean that Kenya go ahead of New Zealand and Uruguay. Or at least one of them anyway, I think. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. See how it goes. Thanks, Joe. Great during his stint here. Ireland is where we are today. So, yeah, I realised I was saying about how the quarterfinals will let you know who's playing. Wait, no, Australia versus Kenya has happened. Australia won that game. So I think it's Kenya and New Zealand, the other two teams that are making their way through. What's happening to the AB7? They're just struggling a little bit, but they'll find their rhythm eventually. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. Either way, we will be setting up those live streams a little bit later on, so you know exactly which ones we have got on the channel. But I do thank you all very much for being here. If you did enjoy, like I said, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We'll be back to our normal location, not tomorrow, but the next time after that. I think the Autumn Series has been a proper with results, bar the Frogs 15s. Yeah, I don't think we've had a huge amount of upsets along the way. I think Australia-England was definitely the upset of the November internationals. Best game, I would honestly say Australia-England was right up there, but I think we've also seen, we saw some great back and forth between South Africa and Scotland. I think the first half of that game was probably the most entertaining half that we've had. It was Ireland and the Wallabies, but the Blitzboks have taken over, says Blues Nate, and there as well. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in, and I will see you for the 7s tonight between many sides as they are currently being confirmed. I'm just going to very, very quickly check one more time, just in case. The HSBC 7s. Hopefully we've got who's going to be playing who. That would be very handy. I'm partial to all shades of green. And for the time being, says 2980. Yeah, currently in Dubai in terms of the knockout games. I think we're confirmed, are we? Yes, we are. So the quarterfinals for the men's, it's going to be Great Britain versus Spain is the first game. The 8:10 p.m. game is yet to be confirmed, but it will be very soon. So, of course, we can do the maths in our head for those ones. Fiji are through to the quarters. Same with Argentina. Same with New Zealand, South Africa, and all those sides. And Australia making it through as well. So, yeah, the earliest one that we would be covering would be 9:10 a.m. South African time. And also alongside that, that's 8:10 p.m. New Zealand time. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all for the next one.